This is a good one because now we're saying, okay, so I want to start a YouTube channel. I want to build my online business. But man, I feel like they're not supporting us. Sometimes we get so self-righteous about that cause that it's to the neglect of just our day-to-day responsibilities.
Yeah.
So ask yourself, like, who's depending on you? Like, what are the goals and roles in your relationship? And have you been making even deposits and withdrawals? So again, if I hustle all day on my YouTube channel, and I know though that my spouse or my roommate's expectation is, oh, the house is cleaned up, or did you take the trash out, or did you take the mail, pay to the bills, or did you take care of the kids? If you neglect those things, then actually they see your YouTube business, your side hustle, as an enemy to the relationship. So why would they support that? Furthermore, if you're doing those things, then they would be much more likely to give you grace or leniency. And so it goes back to that parents thing. I feel like my parents aren't supporting me. Where you're like, well, I got my homework done. I've done good grades. I'm getting to sleep. So now there's more freedom and trust. And when I think of deposits and withdrawals, this is huge. This is true in teams, marriages, any kind of relationships. Some things you do in a relationship are a deposit, like a deposit at the bank. So when you know what their love language is, or you know what they've asked you to do. Your roommate, hey, can you put the dishes actually in the dishwasher and not the sink? That's actually a deposit. They have a request, you did it. Awesome. Then you think about a withdrawal, though, is maybe like, hey, I really want to batch shoot this Saturday. Could you cover for me? Could you do this thing? Well, ultimately, then that might be a withdrawal. But your question is, what's your balance? And too many people are overdrawn. Their account is overdrawn in terms of, I feel unsupported because all you're doing is, it's constantly a burden. The YouTube channel is constantly affecting the relationship negatively. And so are you being faithful with the commitments in your life?
Yeah, I take this back to even when I think about being an early entrepreneur and a young mother. I was pulling myself at two different ends. I was, young kiddos, and I was also trying to run a business. And so I think about what is even the season of life that you're in? What are you committed to in this season of life? And so I actually started to turn, instead of building, I actually went internal. And I was like, what can I learn? What can I be doing, right? Rather than it being something that was external, that was going to cost us more money or have me away from the home more, or those types of things. I just figured, this is the season I'm in. This is only for a short season. We were in the season of my husband building his career, me with the young babies at home, trying to figure out entrepreneurship. And I thought, man, am I not actually doing the things I need to be doing to my already here commitments, right? And also thinking I was also signed up for all of these other things. And I had to really soberly evaluate, what was I actually going to give my time to? And for me and my husband, we decided that family comes first, no matter what. Like, if the video doesn't get shot, it's okay. Family comes first. If my kid needs me, family comes first. Those are just commitments we've made. But I have to say no to a lot of other things, because we will overcommit ourselves like crazy, especially if you're like me, a recovering people pleaser. Someone says, hey, we need someone for this. My hand is the first to go up in the air. And I had to learn to hold that hand down for a little bit so I don't overcommit, so that my goals and dreams could actually come to fruition, because I actually could then start working on it. And my husband could see that the time and effort I was putting into the one thing was actually the thing to support, rather than saying, hey, can you support me on these 5 different things really that I'm a part of? And that helped us in our marriage, and even with my family, to see what I was intentionally putting my time and effort into, and not feel like they were against me, but they were for me, because they knew what to cheer me on for. I wasn't in 5 things, I was in one thing, and that was what they could really lean in for me with.
I do think that sometimes we undervalue that outside perspective, and you're exactly right. One of the ways to maybe get the support. How do I get the support of that person that I want to cheer me on and celebrate me? Is to stop doing some things because so many people in our community are potentially doing that. I feel unsupported in my YouTube channel. The reason they're not supporting you is because you're also trying to write a book and start a blog, and it's actually 3 channels you want to start. And you told them last week that you were going to start something else, and the week before you that you were going to start something else. They would love to get behind you, but they are soberly evaluating the situation and being like, well, here's another thing. There's no way you're going to succeed at it. And it's true. You're listening to this right now, and you're like, it actually is true. I've taken on too much. So I love that. Get focused, and they might be able to get behind the one big idea and the one thing you're building, which brings us to number 7 in terms of, man, what do I do with unsupportive people towards my dream, my business dream? Is who is supporting your dream. I think we have to acknowledge that even if you are skilled at what you're doing, or you're at least putting in the hustle to build the skill, that you have a reputation for follow through, that you actually have articulated your vision, that you are really good with your priorities. This is pretty amazing too, but if you're doing all that, you're good with your priorities, you're super focused, you are understanding, you've put yourself in their shoes, they still might be unsupportive. Like they still just might not be super pumped. They might kind of have a negative energy. They might kind of be a Debbie Downer. They might kind of rain on your parade. There could be a lot of emotional things going in there. They could be just jealous, or it could be an inner issue, or there's all kind of stuff. Then the question is, well, who is supporting your dream? It's still possible to build a dream in that environment. You can't change. Sometimes you can't change circumstances a lot of times, and you can't always change people most of the time, but you can always change your perspective, and you can always then shift your actions. Who is supporting your dream? And are you intentionally building a support circle? And have you been looking ultimately for support from the wrong person?
Yes.
Because of course you want to be, like, if you say that the only way I'm going to feel fulfilled or even be able to succeed on YouTube is if I get support from this one person, then you've given away your personal power. But if you say, listen, I understand it, and this was a huge kind of a realization I had to come to, was I felt probably mostly indifference from those around me, or rather just misunderstanding. I just, like, it wasn't that they were unsupportive, it's that they didn't just get it, like your parents. So like, I just don't even know what you do. And me thinking, oh, I wish you did. I wish you understood me. I wish I could talk to you about this. What I learned was like, no, I just need to have a circle and an outlet where I can connect with people on that level. And I think that's what we've built here at Think Media. Like you and I, we could geek out on marketing and funnels and socials and YouTube and algorithms at dinner. And when we're out on a double date with our spouses, like, they're not wanting to talk about YouTube and algorithms, and so that's great. Like, that's actually really a healthy, clear thing to understand. So who can you get around you? That's what we've done with the Video Ranking Academy community. People love the Facebook group because that might be their one place to really vibe with people that can talk YouTube, who do understand their dream, who do support their dream. And so no matter who's in, your cousins don't understand you, your parents don't understand you, they're not really feeling supportive, well, build a circle somewhere else. Healthily, just get people in your life that can feel that dream, encourage you. Look for a mentor, a friend, someone who can speak life into you. And sometimes that's all that you need, and that can help you get to your goals.
Yeah, and I think for me, initially, I really wanted acceptance. I really wanted to be seen by the people that were in my life for the achievements that I was doing. I was putting my worth into what I was building, and I didn't really have much to show for it. When I started to shift my focus from actually wanting their acceptance to saying, actually, what community am I in that I already feel accepted in? I did this initially because I'm an introvert. It's not like I went out in Facebook groups and was like, hi guys, where you at? I'm very much an introvert. I actually started to get that from private groups of courses that I was a part of, like Video Ranking Academy, but also by just becoming more confident in just what I was already doing, what I knew I was called to, where I knew I was going, where I didn't then need the accolades from other people. I didn't need their appreciation and acceptance and all those things because I knew what I was called to do. And so I started digging deeper into books about just understanding my own self-confidence, understanding that I was needing the acceptance of others because I had such low self-esteem in who I personally was, that once I started to build that muscle, and for me, once I found Christ and once I really knew what I was here to do, that's when it shifted for me, where I thought, my husband supports me for who I am and what I'm doing. I don't actually need him to every day say like, atta girl, you know, or, oh my goodness, the book you're writing is amazing. He probably will read it, or maybe he won't, and I won't. That'll be okay,
Yeah.
because I don't need that verbal acceptance from people anymore. But I think it's important that you say, who is in my circle? The Think Media team, you're right. I could build a funnel and you're like, great job, Heather. And I'm like, he gets me. He knows what I'm talking. Like, great job. I like that funnel. I like what you did. But I'm not craving it anymore. And I think building that self-confidence muscle, getting in a group of people who it rubs off. When you're around other confident people, you're like, oh, that's what it looks like. Oh, okay. So when you're in communities like Video Ranking Academy, you'll start to see that. You'll start to see that making one video becomes easy. You'll start to see that as you are doing this more and more, that the muscle is being built of just you actually supporting yourself on the thing that you're doing.
Super powerful. So use those 7 questions. I think the most powerful thing we could change today is maybe what we can do, how we can shift, how we can communicate our vision better, how we can maybe work on our reputation, how we can stop worrying about, oh man, I just wish they would support me, and maybe think maybe there's some stuff I need to do. It also could be on them, but these 7 questions are really a framework that we encourage you. I think this can change your relationships, build some more momentum, and help you reach your YouTube goals faster.
Well, I hope that conversation was of value to you. And I have a question for you. What is your next step after listening to this conversation and diving into the questions to reflect on? Here's something to think about. Do you need to be reframing this experience to see it from your spouse's or your mom's or your roommate's perspective? Just walk a mile in their shoes a little bit and see if how you are seeing it is the right way. I hope that is helpful to you. And I have so many announcements that you just need to stay locked in for. 1, you can enter in to win our holiday giveaway. This is a brand new giveaway at winthisTech.com. All you have to do to enter is go to winthisTech.com, and we are giving away a brand new YouTube studio, including the Sony ZV-E10 camera, as well as the lighting, microphone, and so much more. So if you want to enter into this holiday giveaway, you can do that at winthisTech.com. And second, our community shout out is brought to you by workwiththink.com. We are hiring here at Think Media, and I can't wait for you to read all of the jobs we have available. We are also doing a paid internship. So if this sounds intriguing to you and you want to see some of the positions we have open here at Think Media, you can go to workwiththink.com. Now, our shout out from rating and reviewing the podcast over on Apple iTunes. Nope, on Apple Podcasts is where you go, is from Jesse C. Jesse says, loads of immense value here. This podcast is inspirational. Not only that, it equips you with what you need to keep creating. Start creating and create the best content possible. Thank you so much for leaving that comment over on our podcast side. And I want to also shout out all of our YouTube viewers. Did you know that we also video record this podcast? So if you're not subscribed on our YouTube channel, you can do that there. I'd love to shout out Michael today. He says, it's refreshing to know that trying new things is encouraged by the Think Media team. I've created a market that wasn't niche enough, but I'm narrowing my audience, and I'm in the process now of rebranding, and it's going to be great. And it's been great so far. Thank you, Michael, for taking the time to leave that comment over on YouTube. We love to hear from you, so let us know in the comments what was your aha moment from today's podcast. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
Are you ready to start or grow your YouTube channel? Do you feel stuck and need help connecting the dots? Join this free web class where you'll learn the step-by-step playbook for YouTube success. We've helped thousands of purpose-driven entrepreneurs just like you grow their influence with video. Register today for this exclusive training at thinkmasterclass.com.
Running a creator business is overwhelming. Constant content creation, community management, juggling of platforms, and unpredictable income. There has to be an easier way to monetize through memberships. Enter Uscreen. Hands down, the best all-in-one membership platform designed specifically for video creators. We help you generate consistent subscription revenue without losing your mind, with powerful monetization features, easy distribution across devices with a branded membership site and apps, sleek video organization and streaming capabilities, and community tools built to engage and retain more customers. Uscreen gives you the power to connect with your audience like never before, and the VIP treatment from our team of experts on hand to help you every step of the way. To make consistent, reliable revenue while keeping full control of the brand and business you've worked so hard to build. Start your membership journey with Uscreen today.
Get this low mileage lease on this 2025 Cadillac Lyriq all-wheel drive luxury one for around $599 per month.
I want to encourage you also to lean into the preparation season. Of course, we want to get to 100,000 subscribers as quick as possible, but maybe there's something that you need to learn out of this present season. Maybe even this season in obscurity is preparing you for popularity.
Taking the leap into full-time YouTube doesn't normally happen overnight. Usually there is personal development, business development, and overall hustle to get your dreams off the ground and at coasting elevation. I cannot wait to get into today's episode. My name is Heather Torres, and I'm the host of the Think Media podcast, the #1 podcast to help you grow your influence on YouTube and then turn that influence into a high impact and a high profit YouTube channel. And first, before we even get into the episode, I am so honored and excited to share with you our holiday sale. We have a special promotion going on for you right now where we have a brand new course teaching you how to get to your first 1,000 subscribers and earn $1,000 on YouTube without a fancy camera, editing experience, or having to work 50 hours a week on your YouTube channel. You can get all the details at thinkholidaysale.com. Well, over the next few weeks, during our regular podcast upload, our Tuesday ritual, we are going to be walking through a series called Taking the Leap to Full Time. Now, you might have noticed that we are also uploading bonus episodes here on the podcast. So make sure you're subscribed if you want to get all of the content happening. But this series is going to walk through taking the leap to full time. And in today's episode, we're talking about the law of preparation. What does it take? What is the pre-work done before you actually step out and start your channel? We're going to be talking about all that and more over this series. So let's dive into today's featured content.
Real talk about quitting your job and going full-time on YouTube. Let me know. Do you want to go full-time on YouTube? Is that one of your ambitions? I think by this time, that's why you're here. But recommitting to saying, okay, I'm trying to figure out the path financially, numerically, my niche, all of those details. And I want to tell you a little bit of my story in terms of my journey to full-time. And I have never shared it at this level of detail before, so I'm super excited. But I want you to see this shot. This is a screenshot of Think Media over the last 10 plus years. Pretty crazy. I mean, 10 million watch time minutes, 1.8 million subscribers, on the way to $1 million in just YouTube ad revenue generated. But I want you to really get some perspective on this graph. What we're looking at right here, my friends, that's 2010. Can you see the clarity of this, right? Do you see how flat that is, right? Do you see that there, in fact, there's a little blip. It's kind of hard to see on the screen, but if you zoom in or you're watching on desktop, you can see this little blip right here, right? Around 2012, like, oh, that was like a good month, and then we were back to flat line, you know what I'm saying? And so there's 2010. Right there is 2015, okay? And today is 2021. And so the journey has been crazy, but one thing I think that's pretty obvious is you can see that the second five years have been a lot crazier than those first 5 years. But this is why I want to remind you to be patient and to remember to be anchored in commitment, right? Great things take time. And a lot of people overestimate what they can accomplish in 1 year, but they underestimate what they can accomplish in 10 years. And so I want to remind you, patience and commitment. But during that journey, at that middle of the graph, right there in 2015, I want to tell you a story about what happened right there at that inflection point. During that time, my family lost 90% of our income in October of 2015. I'll never forget this month. You see, throughout that year, by this point, I had transitioned to complete freelance work work, and I was doing video production, managing YouTube channels, doing social media management for 3 clients. And I was living in Las Vegas with my wife and our 2 dogs, Rosie and Sophie, Chihuahuas. And in October of 2015, I'm hustling as hard as I can on YouTube, but I have a lot of work with my freelance clients. And in the first week of the month, I got a phone call. Hey, Sean, yeah, we got to let you go. Now, these clients were paying me $2,000, $2,000, and $1,000, okay? So I'm earning $5,000 a month, $60,000 a year working for freelance clients, and I'm trying to hustle on my own personal channels right at the same time. First client calls me, Sean, we got to let you go. Kind of bummed, but I'm like, it's only 1 out of 3. What do you do if you need clients? You try to refill that slot. So a little distraught, but we're going to keep going. Second week of October 2015, I get a phone call. Bring! Sean, yeah. Hey, we hired some staff. We're rearranging some things. We no longer need your services as a contractor. We got to let you go. Now, oh, how the mighty fall, because I lost 2 $2,000 clients, $2,000 clients in 2 weeks. So now I'm down to just that last client. And the honest truth is I'd already felt like they were transitioning, scaling back on some things. I'm like, figures, you know what I mean? You ever had one of those? You're like, might as well also rain. I might as well get a flat tire and get in a fight with my love. I mean, like, it's just one of those days. Oh yeah. And then, and it was like one of those months, because sure enough, God is my witness, 3rd week, I get a phone call. Hey, Sean, we got to let you go. So now our income has been eviscerated, and about 80 to 90% of our income. Now, we're doing all right on YouTube, but it's super early days. You saw the graph. It was pretty flat. Think Media is like 16,000 subscribers at the time. Good, but not really dialed in, and earning around $1,000 a month. But now that all the other income's gone, that $1,000 a month is not enough to pay rent. It's not enough to cover the car bill. It's not enough to pay, for just the insurance and just all the expenses that come with life. And so, admittedly, I started to panic a little bit. I'm worried. I'm like, whoa, this came quick. Like, I'm super nervous. And I called a friend, David Goldstein. Now, this is David, and you could see him smiling. He just never not smiling because he's independently wealthy. Not that that's the thing, but it's actually true. We're standing in front of his Tesla right back when Tesla's first dropped, because he was on the waiting list. He got this Tesla and he's like, Sean, do you want to come test the autopilot mode? I turned it into a video with him. So that's David Goldstein. He's sold multiple companies. So him and his wife, Alice, are just on vacation all the time. But he's an incredible business mentor. And so I call him. I'm like, David, dude, my clients are firing me. I'm super worried. We've lost money. We actually only have about maybe 6 months worth of reserves based on income and everything else before we hit 0 in the bank. I'm like, David, I'm super worried. And he goes, Sean, I'm not worried. And I think to myself,
they said that since I worked full-time, I wouldn't be able to go to school. But with WGU, I was able to do my classes on my own time and take all my tests online when it suited me best. Learn more at wgu.edu.
So much peanut butter, it may require a napkin. Peanut butter M&M's Mega.
Use the #1 trusted bag to help keep the food you love fresher, longer, for the love of food. Ziploc.
SC Johnson.
How can energy work harder? Exelon and its family of energy delivery companies, including ComEd, are strengthening the energy grid and preparing it for more clean, renewable energy in the future. Exelon and ComEd. This is energy at its best.
IRS e-file is now open. Snap your W-2 and file your taxes 100% free. Plus, get your biggest refund. Roughly 37% of filers qualify. Simple Form 1040 returns. No schedules except for earned income tax credit, child tax credit, and student loan interest. File now.
it's the most offensive thing that I've ever heard anyone say. I know, David, I know you're not worth, you just paid cash for a Tesla. You've been on vacation. And you don't sound worried sipping a pina colada in Mexico on the beach with Alice. Like, that's a true story. And he's like, I know you're not worried. I'm not sure if you heard me, David. I'm worried, right? Like, you don't actually pay my bills, bruh. And so I'm actually kind of nervous. But he goes, no, listen. And I'm glad he said it ultimately, because he was like, no, I'm not worried. Because listen, as an entrepreneur, at some point, you have to jump off the cliff. And Sean, it seems like God just kicked you off the cliff, and it's your time to fly. You know what I mean? Like riddle masters that speak like that. It's like a Wu-Tang proverb, just like it's, when a boy's time to jump the cliff. You know what I mean? And I was like, all right, David, like, I know you're speaking truth. I feel that. And he was just speaking from a different perspective to say, man, it's time to go all in. Do I try to hire more freelance clients? In this case, I don't. I go all in on YouTube. So I want to extrapolate some of the principles that help me navigate to full time. You got to discern for yourself the season you're in, but this is just some moments and details from my story. So here's what happened. This is October. The first 3 weeks, I lose the freelance clients. Fourth week, I just watch Netflix and like eat Ben and Jerry's. You're trying to recover a little bit. But eventually I'm like, okay, talk to David. All right, it's time to lock and load, patience and commitment, focus and discipline. Let's freaking go. And so between November and December 2015, for 2 months, I posted 52 YouTube videos. This is just the exact math. I'm going to show you exactly what I did. And at the time, I was a solo YouTube creator. I mean, you'll see I was kind of collaborating with others. My friend Benji, who we did Video Influencers together, we were shooting some stuff, but I was the editor and the thumbnail creator, and I ran the blog, and I downloaded all the music, and I uploaded all the videos, and I did all the VRA and all the titles, and all the video optimization and all the descriptions, and I did that for Think Media, and I did it. You're going to notice I was actually spread across 3 channels, which I don't think is a good idea, but this is just my story. And even better is to concentrate all your energy on one channel. But for 2 months, now mind you, no clients and no job, pure survival, I go all freaking in. 52 original videos. So here's a screenshot of the exact 52 videos that I posted on my channel, Think Media. These are the exact topics. You can see 5 years ago, I start off best travel tripod bag. By the way, people think like things are crowded. Dude, nobody's doing niche videos like that. That's what we've been talking about like all day. You got to find topics that at 21,000 views that could potentially be profitable, in terms of affiliate marketing, answer a very specific question. When we say specific, that's what we mean. Specific, right? Like that. The best travel tripod bag, 21,000 views over the last 5 years. But those are the videos on that channel. Then we also had this Video Influencers channel, which at the time was nice because we would go to one event and interview like a bunch of people all at once. But then I would go back to my house in Vegas and I would just edit, and put all the videos out and create the thumbnails. And yes, I'm doing Photoshop, that's what I use. And I do have a background in graphic design. So I'm coming into this season with a skill set of building up and learning skills. Remember I asked you, what's your PDP? What's your personal development plan? Like what skills are you learning? I'm coming into this season with skills. So there's the videos on Video Influencers. And then here's some videos on my personal channel, Sean Cannell, that I posted as well. Those are the 52 videos. So I've got 5 lessons that I learned from this season and that I think you can apply to get to full-time faster and even beyond, to scale faster as well. And the first lesson is the law of preparation. The law of preparation. Malcolm X said, the future belongs to those who prepare for it today. And Brian Tracy put it this way. He said, effective performance is preceded by painstaking preparation. Now, if you can relate, the reason I love this quote is because of the word painstaking. That's what a lot of people don't want to actually invest in. Like they're like, okay, I want to prepare. I might want to practice a little bit. Oh, wait, I'm going to get my shoes dirty. I don't know if it gets hard. No, well, I'm talking that sometimes preparation is painstaking. Like you need to get uncomfortable. Like, this software, this video editing software is so hard to learn. Have you even tried yet? Yeah, I sat there for like 20 minutes. I looked at it. It was confusing. Well, obviously, like you sometimes got to actually do things that get you uncomfortable because on the other side of that, painstaking preparation is a skill you develop, and eventually you're like, this is so easy. But it's not necessarily easy on the journey. Can you relate to some pain in the process? Come on, tell me in the comments. And so ultimately, the law of preparation was I had built up, key word here, there was this moment where I lose all my freelance clients. But I had built up the skills, the confidence, and the knowledge for that moment. You know, in the 100 Absolutely Unbreakable Laws of Success by Brian Tracy, he says the mark of a serious person, a real professional in any field, is that he takes more time to prepare than the average person. Did you hear that? Those that are professionals, YouTube entrepreneurs, they take more time to prepare than the non-serious person. The non-serious person always attempts to bluff or wing it. Kind of reminds me of the dabbler, right? If you've just been dabbling, it's like, I'm just kind of trying to wing it. I mean, I'm kind of throwing out some thumbnails. I'm trying to, it's like, no, I'm going to get serious about these details, right? And this is why Abraham Lincoln said that, he said as a young man in Springfield, Illinois, I shall study and prepare myself, and someday my chance will come. So he just was like, I'm going to study, I'm going to prepare, I'm going to do my best right where I'm at right now, and someday my chance will come. See, that someday became my one day when it was actually a blessing that I lost all my clients. And I had someone speak into my life that said, it's time to jump, man. It's time to take the leap and go all in. And so when I think about this preparation season, it was this whole season. If you look up on the screen now, that looks flat, but it's not flat because you know when a tree, how tall a tree is going to grow, it doesn't grow up first, the roots grow down first. Ooh, it's a little bit invisible for those first 5 years, and then you look at the last 5 years, and you might have only looked at the last 5 months of Think Media, like, oh, I found you guys, like I'm seeing you on, so, you know, like I signed up for Growth Video Live, it's pretty cool what you guys got going, man. This must have just sprung up out of nowhere, like what a fast, just like you guys are like overnight success. Overnight success? Bruh, overnight success takes 10 years. And there's that preparation season where you're learning the lessons, where you're learning the details, right? And I was learning from my full-time job as a director of communications at a church, learning teamwork. I'm learning social media. I'm doing this kind of stuff for clients. I was studying this whole time world-class communicators, TED Talks, books. I was creating videos when I could. I was taking online courses and attending educational events like Growth Video Live. The key here was deliberate practice, and the key here was deliberate experience. Please write that down. See, I was deliberately practicing certain things based on the books I was reading, the podcasts I was listening to, the online courses I was buying, the events I was attending, but I was also placing myself in situations. Part of the reason I took the job I was in as a director of communications was I always wanted to plant myself in seasons that would develop me. I always wanted to be immersed in seasons and situations that I could get skills for my vision for the future. And so I'm grateful. You know, I look back and I think, man, maybe I could have gone all in. I actually could have gone all in on Think Media in 2010 and not flown to Vegas and not took this job at a church called the Church LV at the time and been a director of communications. But I still needed some skills and some development. Who even knows what would have been different? But I'm so grateful for the law of preparation. What skills do you need to develop? What character maybe needs to develop in your life now so that, because you don't want to get to a place of success, you don't want your chemistry or your gifting or your charisma to take you further than your character can keep you. Man, we see it all the time. We see celebrities, we see actors, we see influencers crash and burn because sometimes YouTube growth and YouTube influence and YouTube impact put so much pressure on you that your marriage begins to crumble and you can't handle the stress, so we start giving into toxic habits, behaviors, addictions, and things like that. I'm sorry to go so deep on you, but these are just some of the lessons that I've been learning, and that's the power of the preparation season. I want to encourage you also to lean into the preparation season. Of course, we want to get to 100,000 subscribers as quick as possible. But maybe there's something that you need to learn out of this present season. Maybe even this season in obscurity is preparing you for popularity. And it actually kind of reminds me of the story of David and Goliath, right? You've probably heard this story before, and it's the story of this absolutely impossible situation where there's a giant so much bigger, a man of war since birth, someone that there's no reason that David could ever take down Goliath. Goliath. But I want to share this story because this is how you also might feel on YouTube starting in 2021, looking at the competition, looking at yourself and being like, my channel's small, my business is small, I feel like my skills are small. I just feel like, I mean, who am I to go up against the giants out there? Like, who even am I? Like, they got swords and spears and stuff. I got like a few small stones and I got a sling. Like, who am I to go do this thing? Like, that giants just look so big ahead of me. But I want to encourage you, there's something about the law of preparation. Because when you look into the recorded text of that story of David versus Goliath, the Saul, who was the king at the time, was talking to David. He was like, yo, bro, listen, there's no way you can go up against this guy and possibly win. That's what he says. He goes, you can't fight this guy and win. You're only a boy, and he's been a man of war since his youth. There's no way you could go up against your competitors on YouTube and win. There's no way you could start in 2021 or 2023 or 2025 and win. The giant's too big. But check out what David said, and I love this. He goes, I have been taken care of my father's sheep and goats. And when a lion or a bear came to steal the lamb from the flock, I went after it with a club, and I rescued the lamb from its mouth. And if the animal turned on me, I'd catch it by the jaw and club it to death. I don't know if you've ever read the Bible, man. It gets real. This is like some gnarly gangster street stuff here. It's like I'm clubbing lions. And he's like, and I've done this to both lion and bears. I'm going to do it again to this giant. So what does that illustrate? It was that if you're going to be ready to take down the giants in your future, you can't ignore the preparation in your present. There was sheep to protect. There was lions to fight. There was bears to fight. And I'll tell you, that sounds pretty scary as well. I mean, really scary. I don't know. David was like a real G, man. He's grabbing lions and clubbing them and stuff. But I mean, you got to fight those smaller battles, those smaller challenges. It starts with just mastering Canva and getting great at thumbnails. It starts with just tweaking in some of your skills so that when the day comes where a giant is standing before you, you're like, listen, dude, I'm so good with these stones and this sling, I'm ready to take that thing down. The law of preparation. The law of preparation. So here's my question for you. How deliberate are you being about your practice and your preparation? Deliberate. Could you be more intentional about not just, we're kind of all practicing, but by the way, that word deliberate comes out of a study from Malcolm Gladwell on those that get 10,000 hours before they reach like mastery in their field. But here's what they discovered in that study. They discovered that it wasn't just 10,000 hours of activity. It was 10,000 hours of deliberate practice. Come on. Like, I'm talking 10,000 hours of being like, no, I know what I'm going for. I know the specific skills I want to sharpen. And so that is what I am headed towards. So how deliberate are you being about your practice and your preparation? The law of preparation. How deliberate are you being in practice to prepare you for going full time on YouTube? It was interesting to watch back that clip after our event Growth video live, kind of remembering some of the moments in my story. But I'm curious, Heather, over the last 5 years, you've been practicing and developing here at Think Media and a whole new set of skills. And there was 5 years before that, a plus, where you're learning entrepreneurship, business, marketing, social media. So what are some of the things that you think about that you did to deliberately practice to become the leader and the creator and the influencer that you are today?
Yeah, a couple things come right to mind. Taking my journey back to prior to me working at Think Media, I was coaching pre and postnatal fitness. So I was working with groups of women, and I was learning so many skills when it comes to what we're doing today, which is how do you structure in motivation? How do you structure in encouragement? How do you move people from one thing to the next thing? How do you see results? How do you get actual results for people? So when I think about for me, that was a big part of what I was doing. When I go back to even social media, understanding the dynamics of online, what does that even look like? I go back to, just creating accounts for small businesses and testing out different types of copy, testing out different images, what's working, what's not working. I was so dialed into trying to understand analytics, which is really boring, really. Like, you're just looking at numbers all the time. I was so dialed into trying to figure that out because I wanted to see what made people tick. And I think about my whole journey as an entrepreneur, it really was that I wanted to consistently study what made people actually take action. Like, what was the action of all of their things? And when I think back, it was helping in pre and postnatal fitness. It was working for small businesses. It was working at Washington State Parks, and it was just understanding dynamics of what makes people move.
Yeah, and I think can be encouraging because it shows us that the journey to full time is not overnight, and that sometimes we're comparing ourselves to others. We don't know what their preparation season has been. I mean, I look back. And again, there's so many things. YouTube is not just learning cameras. You got to learn that. It's not just learning editing or learning how to make thumbnails or even learning optimization or titles and all that different stuff. But my season in not just being in church, I was a part of a Bible school where I was teaching and in classes learning how to teach, how to structure teaching, which is something that a lot of us do on YouTube. We actually teach. And the quality of that is going to be determined by how good of a teacher you are, by how you might structure things with story or your opening argument or all these different details. These are some of the things that, I think Media Podcast listeners could think about. Now, what have you learned in terms of debate class? Like, it's going to help you maybe make a persuasive argument. And so, as we maybe put some handles on here, and I want to hear some more insights from you, I think there's three big things that I want to unpack in terms of the law of preparation on the journey to full time. The first is a PDP, a personal development plan, this idea of deliberate practice and deliberate experience, and then finally the proximity principle. And so if we're going to put handles on this and even some maybe takeaways and tips, I think that first of all, you do need a PDP. Now, it might not be super official. Maybe people don't think about that term, but people like those who really go full time, those who become great at their craft and have built a career, they do have a personal development plan. For you, what were some of the things you did intentionally to just grow really focusing on YouTube and even during this YouTube season?
Yeah, I actually take it all the way back to when I had my first baby. After I had my first baby, I experienced without knowing that I had postpartum depression. And when you're in that season and it feels really foggy, your days just kind of drift. You don't really know. I mean, you're in a day, obviously, but you just feel like you're under this cloud. And I just remember thinking, I've got to figure out how to get out of this. And I was fortunate enough to seek help. And one of the things that my counselor said was, what are you doing to just get outside? What are you doing as a daily routine to just get yourself outside? So when I think all the way back, not what I'm doing today, but where I really started to understand personal development was in this idea of what is my daily routine and what does winning look like? And when I think back, it was things like, did I make my bed today? Personal development is, do you have tidiness around you, right? Are you accomplishing something? And at that point with postpartum depression, it was, are you making your bed? Am I working out every day? And that doesn't mean I'm like lifting weights and going hardcore. Did I go for a walk? Did I do, what was I doing? And then it started to develop into, what am I actually listening to? What am I putting into myself? Am I watching way too much Oprah? Yes, I was, right? Way too much Oprah, way too much HGTV or TLC at that time, way too much I didn't know I was pregnant type stuff, the crazy things, because I was just sitting as kind of in this moment. And I thought, I'm turning off the TV. What can I put into my mind that could actually be beneficial? And that's actually when I discovered Tony Robbins. And whether you agree or don't agree with Tony Robbins, that doesn't bother me at all. But for me, I was just then invited into this whole new space of what to think. So my personal development plan, starting way back in this journey, was really about my health of my mind, body, and soul. And so I really started to dive into what was that. Now it's fully developed into a morning routine. I'm so structured on, how can we help develop other people and just so much more. But really it starts, and when I start to fall off of it, it always goes back to those things: my health, body, mind, and soul.
And that's similar to me as well. I'm a huge believer in you are what you eat. If you want to become a full-time YouTuber, are you eating the diet that is going to develop you into that character? Are you learning those skills? And I think part of a personal development plan, I think a lot of people can get stuck. Have you noticed this? Growth for me is watching then endless YouTube videos, endless online courses, endless books, endless podcasts, and that can lead to information overload and it can lead to overwhelm. We also need that experience. Have you noticed this?
Absolutely. And for me, it really, when I think back to, I've never been really comfortable in front of the camera. I am now because I've developed that skill. But man, when I go back to it, I was like, well, how can I just make fun videos for my church? Or how can I get around what I want to be doing? How can I be around people who are growing businesses and what does that look like? And so much of it was just sitting behind and not actually doing. And people need to do. They need to actually step up and not just consume, but create and actually, really dive into where do they want to go and where are they stepping outside their comfort zone to make those things happen. How about you?
Yeah, well, I mentioned in that talk the 10,000 hour rule too. And I think when Malcolm Gladwell in the book Outliers was unpacking that study, it was that those who had mastery in their craft had 10,000 hours of deliberate practice. They didn't have 10,000 hours of listening to a podcast. Now, we hope that you keep listening to the Think Media podcast because, of course, education, information, that's an aspect of sharpening the saw. But deliberate practice is the real needle mover.
Yeah, and I have a great example. My husband, Isaiah, he's approaching 44, and because we've been able to grow this business, he has the opportunity now to really chase his dreams. He really supported our family early on, working 2 jobs, 3 jobs, developing out a career. And now because we're in this situation where we're both able to really focus on what we want to do, he now has decided to become a pro golfer. Now he's doing great. He's a semi-pro golfer right now, doing different things, but the shift happened for him in the same way you're saying about those 10,000 hours from watching golf every weekend and sometimes practicing going out with the guys to now, no, he's invested into this. He has a membership at a place, and not just to go on Saturdays and drink beers, but he's going almost every day to be practicing his different putts. He's going, he's studying what does this iron do versus that iron? How about, when the wind is like this, what does that do to the ball? And, really understanding that it's not just about the consumption of the thing you want to do, but it's about doing the things that you actually want to do. And it goes back to you look at any of the greats, Kobe Bryant, I'm just naming sports people now, which is probably the only sports person I know, but they were always doing things behind the scenes that you never saw, which is what actually affected the games that they played.
Yeah, I think that is maybe a call out to a lot of people listening to this and a lot of aspiring full-time YouTubers. Are you practicing 10,000 hours, or are you just watching other creators, watching your favorite teachers on YouTube, constantly consuming content? It's not 10,000 hours of watching YouTube. It's 10,000 hours of deliberate practice. And that is also deliberate experience. And one of my favorite concepts, I learned a term for it later, and it sort of spoke to what I referenced, the 2010 to the 2015 era in my life of the proximity principle. Now, our friend Ken Coleman at Ramsey Solutions really helps people with their careers, and he talks about, he has a book called The Proximity Principle, and it's simply this, that if you want to do something in your future, the question is, what do you want to do in your future? If you're listening to this series on the Think Media podcast, you want to be full-time on YouTube. You want to be a YouTube entrepreneur, okay? If you want to do that, can you today, before the views are there, before the subscribers are there, and you need to have some type of a job, could you find a job or an internship or a place where you work part-time that actually will get you closer to your goal? Can you get in proximity with somebody who's already doing what you want to do? And sometimes people think, well, I don't know. I don't know any full-time YouTubers that I could go work for. Well, I didn't work for a full-time YouTuber. I worked at a church because what I had identified the skill sets. I identified that, okay, what are some of the things I need to learn? I need to learn communication. I need to learn teamwork and leadership. I need to learn communication for a team, not just communication on camera or on our online stream or to people in seats. I want to understand human psychology. I want to understand people. I want to understand. And so I immersed myself and And I believe there's one part of things where, we make our plans, God directs our steps, and I can see that through line in my entire life. But I was also making a practical decision when I got the opportunity to move to Las Vegas and work under Benny Perez, who's a phenomenal global communicator who had built this incredible church that also was this huge opportunity that also scared me, stretched me way out of my comfort zone. It was way beyond where I was at. That environment leveled me up. And that tipping point, that one day when I had to go full time, was a lot of preparation. That was my season of lions, tigers, and bears, and constantly be sometimes I'd be challenged to do things like, hey, do you want to speak on Sunday? One time I got to speak on Sunday. The 1,500 people, I think, would be sitting in a service. It's kind of scary. I'd be like, well, I spoke to 50. Now it's kind of a lot writing on this. Multi-generations, people of all ages. There's every generation's in the room. Now I'm really in pressure situations that are developing me, and that's the proximity principle. Who can you get around? Who can you intern for? What volunteer work can you do? Or what career can you take? Or what side work can you take? Even those freelance clients that I took, I was so excited to work for them because I was cutting up their longer form communication into micro social media clips because I knew I wanted to do that in the future. I knew I wanted to write books in the future, and I was helping Benny Perez write books and working with getting the covers designed. Proximity principle in your preparation season, man, it's so important. And I always wonder, and I think we could ask the Think Media podcast this, we reference the story of David and Goliath. Like, what would have happened if David had ran away from the lion and the bear during those seasons? What would have happened? And honestly, I would have. If I got 100 sheep and a bear comes up and grabs one of the sheep, I'm just doing the math. I'm like, I still got 99, dude. Like, I don't know. Like, and these 99 sheep, to be honest, if their shepherd gets taken out, man, there could be more. I'm like justifying in my mind. I'm like reasoning. I'm like, you know what? Bear's hungry. This is kind of the law of nature. Yeah. Like, there's a lot of ways I could reason that away. But what that tells us is David wasn't shrinking back from the smaller battles today, that had he not fought and won those, he wouldn't have been ready for the bigger battle tomorrow. Man, that pressure season, that painstaking preparation, and not just deliberate practice or deliberate podcasts, but deliberate experience. What do you think about that?
Yeah, you're so hitting it. And, I think one of the things, too, is the give without the ask. And when you're getting in these situations, when you're trying to get in proximity, I remember so many times where it's like someone's working on this project and I'm like, can I just be a part of it? Like, can I just be a fly on the wall? I will take out the trash. Yes. I will, whatever that is, and not feeling like you need to be the main person. I was like, I just want to be around this. And I was, when I was in my early 20s, I was a part of a company, and I was just around these people who were building these businesses. And I'm like, can I just carry your bag to the thing so that we can just talk in the elevator? And thinking about that type of proximity. But even going deeper, when you think about, are you actually putting yourself in uncomfortable situations? Like, are you actually signing up for the things that scare you a little bit? Are you going to the conference where you're like, I don't know any of this, but the people around me will? That's so important. And are you involved in something that's bigger than you? Are you involved in something? I'm sure, Sean, when you were at the church and you were like, I want to develop these skills, you weren't actually thinking, one day at Think Media, I'm going to hire 18 people. You were like,
not at all.
You were like, you know what? This is actually moving me outside of my comfort zone, and I'm going to just dig into it. I'm going to figure out what can I learn from this situation so that later in life I can apply it. Being around people, getting in proximity, being in the right rooms, being near the people who are doing the thing, so important. But so many people go into those situations saying, what can I get out of this? Rather than just saying, what can I just give to this situation, whether it's a low skill, whatever it is. You'll talk later in this series about how you and I met. There was no ask. It was like, hey, I want to get in proximity to someone who's doing something kind of like me. How can we work together? What can we do together? What skills can I bring to the table? And there was no ask on either one of our parts. Right. It was very much just like, hey, we both have a vision. Let's just kind of get around people who are doing the things that we want to do. So what meetups are you going to? What groups are you a part of? Where are you being pressured, pressure makes diamonds.
Yes.
Where are you being refined in your life right now?
Man, I'm so pumped, and those are great insights. This 5-part series is going to be fun, and we're on this mission to help people get to full time. And that sometimes I think realistically, we want to help people get to full time faster. It really depends on where you're starting.
Yeah.
You know, but maybe unpacking that there's these 2010 to 2015 season of Think Media, and then there's even the last 2015 to 2021 and beyond. These different seasons, like great things take time.
Yeah.
And so in this Law of Preparation episode, it's a 5-part series, and I think each of these points that we're going to kind of build out some nuances around are absolutely critical. Kind of a recap for you, Think Media Podcast. What is your personal development plan? Like, what are you intentionally learning? What skills do you need to develop next in terms of your YouTube career? Or maybe it might not just be YouTube, in terms of maybe the business you're going to build about around YouTube, or who you need to become character-wise as a leader, or just even just basic discipline in life. What are you deliberately practicing? And is there something that you could have deliberate experience in right now? Sometimes there was I was chipping away at my YouTube channel on the side, Heather, but my main priority was the church. I knew what my priorities were,
right?
Because that was my career. It was who was paying me. So I wasn't posting a video a week. I was posting a video every week during summer, and then a video when I could during other seasons of my life, because I knew the season I was in, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't miss, that I was planted deeply in the season that I was in, and that I didn't miss on all of the potential nutrients around me from interpersonal relationships, teamwork relationships, opportunities, and that season really developed me. Again, if you're listening to this, would you be willing to be maybe a little bit more patient with your timeline? I might not be full-time on YouTube in 2 years, because for the next 2 years, I need some deliberate experience. I want to actually get that painstaking preparation. So I'm going to take that job, or switch my career, or go work at that marketing firm, or go join that person, or apply to Think Media, or whatever, and say, like, I actually realize I need to be immersed. And I've actually learned, I really believe this, that actually the best way to get to your own vision is to serve someone else's vision first.
Preach, man. We've both lived that.
We've both lived it.
Yeah.
And completely thinking that sometimes that ambition to rush towards our vision, it may not work out, or again, we might get there and we're not ready for it. We haven't developed the character for it. So what is your PDP? What are you deliberately practicing? And then what about the proximity principle? Who could you get around? Who could you reach out to? I think people are afraid. Just go for it.
Yeah.
Just try. They might say no. There might be, you could try to do an internship. You could try to work at a different company. You might also have to be willing to move.
Yes.
We've both done that.
We've both done that.
The move to Las Vegas triggered a series of events in my life that are absolutely remarkable. I could have never predicted it.
Yeah.
But I realized that's true proximity principle. We're living in an era where you can do things online, you can be on Teams, on Zoom, you can work remote, but there's something powerful about proximity that I really believe can push a lot of us towards full-time on YouTube.
Well, I hope that content helped you. And your takeaway question today is, are you putting in the hours and the practice needed to actually grow this YouTube channel? Are you around the people that you want to be around in order to grow this YouTube channel? We're going to be diving into more of this topic over the next few weeks. So make sure that you are subscribed here on the podcast, whether you're listening to it on Apple iTunes, or if you're over on YouTube watching this or listening while you're doing the dishes, make sure you're subscribed wherever you're consuming this content. And today I would love to shout out one of our trusted listeners, and it's brought to you by our Think Holiday Sale. This is a brand new course that we have for you, so you can get all of the details of how you can get your first or next 1,000 subscribers, your first 1,000 or next dollars on YouTube, and so much more. So go to thinkholidaysale.com for the latest promotion and all of the details. Now, I want to shout out Braxter Vision. Braxter says, has it all. Fun and inspirational content that speaks to mind, body, and soul for both your business and your personal lifestyle goals. So yeah, it basically has it all. Thank you so much, Baxter, for that comment. That is what our heart and mission is here on the Think Media podcast. We want to bring you conversations with different influencers and go deeper into the conversations not really talked about on the platform. So thank you so much for leaving that comment over on Apple iTunes. If you have not yet rated and reviewed the podcast, you can do that now after you're done listening to today's episode. And I also want to shout out Birgit Beckley from our YouTube channel. Thank you so much, Think Media team and Sean, for having me on today. Loved the conversation and gave us a lot to chew on. See you guys at Grow with Video Live 2022. Brandon and Birgit. Well, thank you so much for leaving that comment. I cannot wait to hug you in person at Grow with Video Live 2022. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Did you see thinkmediasale.com? For the holidays, we're giving you 80% off our brand new YouTube Made Simple course bundle. Get over $1,900 worth of our best courses, tools, templates, and more. Just go to thinkmediasale.com.
I'll see comments like it would be so much easier if there was an app that I could just stream into my TV.
The mobile app is the whole point of having this. It's supposed to be on the go. You're supposed to be able to download the videos to your phone.
The app pays for itself, essentially.
I thought these people that have been, with me really deserve an upgraded experience.
Now with Uscreen, I'm wanting to use the app more because of how good it looks and how easy it flows. Notifications happening on all the time because women are providing feedback, asking questions, engaging on the community. It's exciting every time I get to open up my app.
When we launched Buttons Plus or Uscreen, right away, it exceeded my expectations.
So chewy. And big! Chips Ahoy. Big chewy.
Got monetized in 60 days using just an iPhone. How did that happen?
So, it takes a lot of time. The growth may look fast for my channel, but I put in a lot of time.
This is the antiviral strategy. You have 7 different ways that you're earning money now, which is wild.
You have a phone, so just hit record and go.
In today's episode of the Think Media Podcast, we're going to be learning some tactical tips for getting more views and growing your YouTube channel. And my guest today is going to be sharing how she got monetized in 60 days using just an iPhone, which she still uses today. She's also going to be breaking down kind of the morning show method, this idea that you could turn in casual viewers to a strong community with daily content that she didn't expect to do when she first started out. She's also going to reveal her 7 different income streams that are now earning more than she earned in her entire corporate career previously, and also why maybe ignoring social media could be a good idea and why maybe you should focus on one platform because that could lead to faster growth. Kayla from His Word, My Walk is your girl next door. Her vision is that you would grab tea or some coffee, get cozy, and then sit down and grow in your relationship with God. Her channel is all about Bible study and helping people understand the Bible. And her journey has been super inspiring. And there's a lot of lessons we can learn for no matter what kind of channel you're starting, whether you're more established or whether you are just getting started with YouTube. Kayla, welcome to the Think Media Podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited to be talking to you. And I want to, in our kind of opening speed round, just learn a few tactical tips, which one of the most fascinating things from your story is you went from 0 to getting monetized in 60 days using just your iPhone. What do you think led to that? How did that happen?
I had to get rid of the excuses. I think technology is always an excuse that we can make, or even a reason. For me, it was a reason why I didn't start. But to be very honest, I did the 1K challenge with Think Media, and that kind of taught me how to format my videos a little bit better. And so I just went for it. And my second video took off to get me monetized. And from there is where I kind of shifted my channel to keep moving forward.
That's so cool. And how many videos do you think you posted in those first 60 days?
Well, it was 3 originally, and then I did a 30-day, what I thought was going to be a 30-day sprint. I did 28 videos in 30 days, going through the book of Matthew chapter by chapter to teach what people had been asking for. And then I continued on from there.
So I think that 30-day sprint had a lot to do with the early momentum that your channel built. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I looked at that one video that got monetized or got me monetized. The comments in there were people saying, can you help me? Can you help me do this? Can you help me be consistent? How can I really do this? And I was like, oh, well, I can show you. So let's do it together. I'll do it for 30 days. And that built a community immediately and grew to almost this responsibility that there are people here now and a community growing. So I felt like I couldn't stop.
Okay, so I think I better understand now. What you're saying is you had an original 3 videos, and one of those videos really broke out, and like single-handedly got you monetized. Do you remember what video that was?
Yeah, it was how to read the Bible consistently.
Okay, and so you had a breakout video, but then off of that video, not only did that video get you monetized, got you some channel growth, that inspired the 30-day sprint, which ultimately shaped your channel and what you're doing today.
Exactly.
Wow, that's so cool. And so I'm excited to come back and learn a little bit more about how you've been building a community and what your channel has evolved into. But my second question is, a lot of creators feel pressure to focus on every platform. What was your mindset? You're at 31,000 subscribers now. And did you ignore other social media platforms and decide to go all in on YouTube?
Yeah, it wasn't by choice or by strategy. As I started posting on YouTube daily for those 30 days, I didn't have time. I didn't have time to go back to Instagram, and or any other platforms, and because my audience was growing and the people that I was serving were there, and it was an entirely new audience. I could tell by some of the things, it wasn't converting over. And so I just kind of triple down, quadruple down, whatever you want to call it, on my YouTube audience, because it was taking my energy, but also I was willing to give that time. And so I just let the other ones kind of go by the wayside and figured I'll come back to them at some point.
Of course, everybody's experience is different, and there's so much value in a lot of the different social media platforms. But knowing what you know today, if you were to look back, do you feel like that is pretty strategic when you think about the power, the search-based nature of YouTube, even the ability to fund the mission with money you can make from YouTube, that actually focusing solely on YouTube might be a good idea for some listeners?
I think it turned out to be probably the greatest decision that I didn't make. I think it really, really helped me. It helped me focus. It helped me focus on who I was actually serving and not trying to be popular or trying to be trendy, but to truly follow the mission that I was there for. And whoever God brought to the platform is who I was there to serve. And I wasn't trying to get things mixed up. I wasn't trying to hit everybody. I was truly where the growth was happening. And yeah, to see the opportunities ahead, that's where they were coming from.
Man, I feel like in a 2025 world, focus has always been important, but like there's more noise than ever before. There's more platforms than ever before. And even as an individual, as a creator, as a business owner, it could be so easy to get your mind all tangled with so many things to do. So just the power of narrowing down is interesting. But like you said, the greatest decision you didn't actually consciously make, but in doing so, it led to so many cool things. I love those insights. And I'm also, to be clear, you also kind of focused on a format. And have you dabbled with YouTube Shorts or anything? Or have you focused even not just on YouTube? Because to a point, YouTube itself could be distracting. Well, if I'm on YouTube, I need to do all the things on YouTube. But have you focused on even just kind of one singular promise even within the YouTube ecosystem?
Yeah, I tried for the first probably month. I tried everything. I think I have probably 5 shorts sitting there that are all from last May. And so once I developed this, like, okay, we're going to continue this every day kind of thing, or 5 days a week, 6 days a week, I really just zeroed in on that. It's what I had the capacity to do, but also it's where I was serving the most people, and it's where I felt really purposeful. And I wasn't, and still am not trying to trend or whatever God's going to do, he's going to do. And I love that, but I'm really focused on the community that I'm serving in a way that now they expect.
This is powerful. I just talked to Noah Kagan on the podcast, and he built AppSumo. He's got 1 million subscribers on kind of a business entrepreneur channel. But what I'm also hearing is he highly recommends experimentation. So I think some people, they hear your story, my story, somebody else's story, they think it's that one size fits all, because shorts are great, but also long form is great. Video podcasting is great, and so is Instagram. But man, when you find your thing and your format, and also what's connected to your mission and your strength, that's such an amazing place to be. And man, I feel like the disciplined pursuit of doing less, you narrowed into your 5 to 6 day a week show, served the most, but also sounds like it served your mission the most. And essentially what Noah Kagan recommended was, if you've done a lot of tests and experiments, you tried 5 shorts, you maybe tried a different format, you tried this, what can you then eventually identify that's working and that is in alignment, and then really narrow down on that? I think that's really inspiring. Now, you have a video that's it's called Bible Journaling, and it hit 63,000 views without any fancy production. You've got a lot of videos on your channel that now have grown and gotten some significant views. Do you have any kind of formula for creating the structure of your videos that you've learned from some of your most viewed videos?
Well, a lot of them go day by day, right? So if you look at my channel, I'm reading through the Bible chapter by chapter. We've now gone through 16 books of the Bible chapter by chapter. So that helps my format. It is very similar every day. But my desire is to have once a week an actual teaching video, a more practical how to live this life. And that's where Bible journaling came in, and how to elevate your prayer life, how to spend more time with God, those kind of videos that I structure in a way of more teaching. Here's 3 ways you can do this. Here's 5 ways that you can do this. I come from an elite athlete background and personal training. And so like having practical, here's how you actually walk this out, really helps me in the way that I learn. So I realize that's also how I like to teach.
Interesting. So, and have you found that it's those 1 per week teaching videos that have been the ones that have garnered more views over time?
Yes and no. That's my plan. My plan is that those are the more searchable ones. Those are the ones that are going to bring people to my channel. But as I've seen, as I started off in May going through the book of Matthew, those ones are now, people are still finding them. They're some of my highest watch videos from May 1st, some of my highest watch videos every month, which as we get to that, some of my most income stream bringing videos, even to this day. So I have a format, but I also just kind of like let it flow, whether I'm teaching or reading with my community as well.
Man, that's cool. It's cool to hear the buckets too. You've got chapter by chapter, you've got the 1 per week. And in both cases, we'll circle back to that a little bit later because I want to get some insights out of that. But let's dive into a little bit of a deeper strategy. And before we kind of get into these tactical things, I would love to zoom out a bit and give us just kind of a timeline of who you are, how you ended up doing this, your passion for this topic, what inspired you to start in the first place, and how long you've been at this YouTube journey.
Yeah, I mean, going backwards, I started YouTube in just April of 2024, so not even a year ago. But before that, I had an audio podcast teaching once a week for 2.5 years. And I've just learned so many things that like being diligent and working hard, when no one really listens, or it's your mom and her friends, or all of a sudden there's 100 people a week. And so I was just faithful. I just stayed consistent. I learned how to speak on a mic. I learned how to teach. I did it every single week. And then when it came time to teaching on video, besides the technology, I knew how to speak already, and I knew how to speak on a mic, and I knew all of that stuff. And it goes back even further to growing in my relationship with God and getting consistent reading before I teach. And I'm just one of those people that like, I won't teach it as soon as I learn it. I got to work it out for at least 6 months, maybe even a year, before I start to share with other people. I want to make sure that I'm consistent. And all of that comes from even like childhood and growing up. I've been disciplined in what I do and consistent, and that was a big part of who I am. And so let me help teach other people how to do it too.
You also mentioned being an elite athlete. What was your experience there?
I was a basketball player. I grew up in Canada, but I went to high school in Arizona to play ball there, and then came back in college to Canada and won a national championship, and ended up working for the NBA for almost a decade. And yeah, sports was a huge part of my life.
Man, it's interesting that we're hearing about your YouTube success, and I see so many principles that are transferable to all of us. If we have more discipline, we're going to get better results. Things like that we learn in sports are incredibly valuable: resilience and persistence. I also like hearing it's like your YouTube journey is wild. People are listening like, man, monetize in 60 days, so fast, your growth even to today, and all of that. But yet it's sort of like we don't see the roots that go underneath the surface that are totally invisible before we see the springing out fruit or the tree that grows. And we're like, wow, look, it came out of nowhere. It's like, it came out of actually all of these years of development. And I also love the idea of basically 2 years of practice, 2 years audio podcasts only, but growing as a communicator, finding your voice. If you are, encouraging listeners about the fact that maybe some are further along in their career and they might plug right into YouTube and get rapid success, but also the mindset needed for, having, say, realistic expectations with what it really takes to build a successful YouTube channel based on your experience.
Time. Like, it takes a lot of time. Like, the growth of a channel may look fast for my channel, but I put in a lot of time. This isn't a hobby for me, and it never was. And I actually didn't start YouTube to have it be my main source of income. I started it out of obedience, probably delayed obedience, but started it for continuing on the way that I was teaching, and felt like it was the next step where God was calling me. And I had no idea that thousands of people would come. I had no idea that this is how I would continue teaching. I started it for the mission and for the people that I wanted to help. And I think that really shifted so much for me. And to see the growth now, it's even more inspiring, and I'm even more in awe, because it truly is, it's just me. I'm the girl with the niece and nephew that's playing freezeball tag. And when someone recognizes you in an airport and, can you pray for me? Yes, I can, but I'm still just the same girl that was there when there were 2 subscribers.
Man, I love that. And actually today, what is the full production? Are you a solo woman show here?
I'm a solo woman show. I plug my phone into my computer still every week or almost every day if I haven't batch recorded something, and edit it myself. I actually, Sean, you will be proud, I just hired someone 2 days ago. I was so excited to be able to say that to you, to help me with some back end things, some tasks that I need to put systems in place as I continue to grow. But it's been just me.
And I am curious, so what do you mean that you plug your phone into your computer? For someone listening, if they want to tap into their phone camera, plug it into their computer, how do you capture it, and then how do you edit it?
Yeah, I use I use OBS Studio. And so I wanted a place where I could see what was on my camera, but I knew I had to use the back camera of my phone. I didn't know all of this when I didn't know it. And so I can plug it right into my computer and use just the camera from my phone, but then I can still see what it looks like. But it actually helps me because I talk just to the phone screen. I don't see myself. I'm not distracted. I talk just to the phone. Behind my phone is my closet full of clothes. I'm truly just me. My whole way of teaching is grab your cup of tea, cup of coffee, let's sit down together. Super casual. Editing is pretty simple. I'm putting scripture on the screen, but if I sneeze, people in the comments say bless you. I'm not editing a whole lot of other stuff.
Man, that's cool. And it's cool to hear, okay, so OBS Studio, and what you mean by the back camera for listeners, you do have a selfie camera, but on every phone, it's never as good. And what's nice is because while you do have a monitor on your laptop screen because of the OBS Studio software, you are able to look at your phone without getting distracted. One of the biggest mistakes I see people make is not making eye contact with the lens, which is sometimes hard to do because you see yourself or you're trying to frame it. So those are really good practical tips, and just speaks to, it's not about our resources, it's about our resourcefulness. I want to dive into this idea of daily routine content. So we were talking before we pressed record. I feel like this is could be called the morning show model. And for anybody listening, maybe you've watched Good Morning America before. Maybe you remember when there was a show called Live with Regis and Kelly. Today it's Kelly and Ryan Live. And this idea of consistent daily timing, a mix of structured content and natural moments, hosts who feel like friends, community interaction, and this morning ritual aspect. You say, grab your tea, grab your coffee, grab your greens, meet me every morning, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday with your Bible and your notebook, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And the best compliments you get is I'm reading my Bible with a friend. Explain how this all came about. And you mentioned it came off of this 30-day sprint, but how did the show evolve and what have you learned from this process? Hey, we're about to get back into the podcast in just a second, but I have a question for you. Do you want to grow your personal brand this year? Do you need more leads and sales in your business? If the answer is yes, then right now is the best time to go all in on YouTube. Today's podcast is brought to you by thinkmasterclass.com, where you can get on-demand access to a 1-hour deep dive training revealing how to start and grow a profitable YouTube channel this year. For a limited time, you can get access to this on-demand class entirely for free, where you will learn the 3 biggest mistakes that people make when starting a YouTube channel, the new rules and changes that have been happening on YouTube and how you can use them to create an unfair advantage, and the exact strategy we use at Think Media to generate over 350,000 organic views every single day. The data is clear. 70% of viewers claim that YouTube makes them more aware of new brands. So don't wait any longer to start growing your brand and business with YouTube. Just go to thinkmasterclass.com to get access to this no-fluff, highly tactical, free on-demand training. That's thinkmasterclass.com.
Well, what I learned after those 30 days was I couldn't do it every day. That I needed a break. And I honestly didn't think I was going to continue. After those 30 days, my plan was 1 video a week. My plan was, this is going to be my sprint. I didn't realize I was going to get monetized before this happened. But once the people showed up, I felt like I had to continue serving them, and I had the means to do it. And so I did. And so I made a commitment that I fight hard against not having a Monday to Friday routine, but having it be every day. So I knew I wanted to include a weekend day, which is why we take Wednesdays off. So every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, a video goes live at 6 a.m. and the next chapter. And so they know what's coming. I encourage you to read it before you get here. The videos are usually 20 to 30 minutes is kind of the average of how long it takes us to go through a chapter. And they know what to expect. And they show up. And then there are some people who show up every day when they got off work in the UK at 2 p.m. and grab their tea, and like they're in the comments. And the comment section has become incredibly inspiring for me, and given me questions of what content to create later. But I just continued on, and truly the people that I started to serve continue to push me to move forward. So I just set up, if I can record 3 or 4 at a time to get me set up for the week, that's my ideal. But a lot of days it is the night before, recording it and editing it. And that's where, like I say, I work well under pressure. That like athlete in me still rises up, that I have a commitment to other people. And so it will get done. It will get done, and it will get published because there's a team out there depending on me to do it.
Man, that's cool. And I like, so sometimes you're batching 3 to 4. So you would do the chapter, record 20 to 30 minutes, maybe record all 4, then throw them all in your timeline, edit them all, get ahead.
Yeah.
Have you ever broken your schedule since this started?
Time for video creators to break through and go beyond with Artlist. Push the boundaries of your imagination with generative AI. When your creativity can truly run free, you'll be unstoppable. Your style will shine through every choice you make, standing out with exclusive music, sound effects, AI voiceovers, footage, and more. All by award-winning artists. Your creative potential is endless. Just go to Artlist and start creating without limits.
Just for Men gives you the strongest, fullest, thickest looking beard yet. Mustache and beard, now with keratin. In just 5 minutes, score your best beard ever. Just for Men.
zero sugar. Zero sugar, 100% delicious.
Mom, she was a single mother, and she did everything she could to take care of us, teaching me money wasn't everything, but you needed to live a good life. So the Experian app can help you save time and money, build your credit, just help you gain more knowledge in finances. So download the Experian app right now.
Have you ever broken your schedule since this started?
No.
You have not.
I have not. I speak openly and honestly about like grace days if I need one. The only time the schedule broke was in December. My computer completely crashed and nothing was retrievable. And there's no Apple store in the place that I live. And at the time I was building a Bethlehem village at my church. And so I put a post and was like, here's the situation. And my community was there. But other than that, no, I have not.
And then, so you've been very consistent doing it. Yep. You create a routine. You've stuck with the routine. Are you planning on then just reading every chapter in the entire Bible?
Yeah, it's wild how many chapters there actually are when you think about it and how long that would actually take. So I don't know. I tell my community all the time, like wherever God leads, I'm willing to go. And I don't see this stopping anytime soon. But if it does, it does. And I'm open to that as well.
That's 1,189 chapters in the entire Bible. So
people don't realize that when you're trying to read it in a year, if you go chapter by chapter, but the results of growth that people are getting is what's keeping me going just the way we're going.
So that would take 3 years and 3 months, but you do it, what, 6 days a week or 5 days?
Five Bible chapters a week.
Wow. So it maybe kind of stretches out to maybe like 4 years that would take.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And so what I love about this, and next question, is a lot of creators chase viral moments. And a lot of creators, what I love about this is it's kind of like, this is the anti-viral strategy. You've had some videos over time, like you said, since last May have really grown, but you've built your channel through daily connection and really a community first approach. And I think that listeners should really lean in for this. We talked to Shalene Johnson a while back, and she was like, community is the way forward in social media right now. Because if information is abundant, it's interesting, like people even going viral, like we see viral videos all the time, especially vertical videos. We're like, wow, we see it. Maybe it has 27 million views, but what's the connection? Meanwhile, you've just been so focused on this community first approach. And I think it's so powerful to have real connections, real relationships. Can you walk us through, I mean, you've kind of touched on it, but your mindset in regards to that and how maybe we could benefit as creators ourselves to stop chasing viral and start building community?
Well, for me, it's just about the impact. Like truly, this wasn't my, 10K, 20K a month strategy for life. So it was different from the start for me. YouTube was not my gateway to, buy houses and all the things. However, I have paid my mom's mortgage, like through YouTube. So that was like a huge goal of mine that just happened. So I'm super.
You paid your mom's mortgage off?
No, not off. Just for a month.
You are now.
We're not there yet.
Yeah.
But it was the impact of the people. And so that's what truly has kept me going. So like I realized that I have a solution for a problem that other people have, which is why most of us create a YouTube channel. But their problem meant so much to me. And the fact that I had a solution meant so much to me that how could I not continue to give it? And that's kind of what has grown our community. Now they're inviting friends and obviously the algorithm kicks in and certain things, but it truly for me has always been about the impact and other sources of income have been coming too.
And you mentioned that you actually didn't go into it thinking that it was going to be a source of income. What was your source of income previous?
I had a rough couple years as the world kind of shut down. I got stuck in a different country. My dad passed away. It was figuring out life. Life changed drastically for me in a matter of 4 years. So there wasn't much. It was trying to figure out, what do I do online? How do I? So this would be great, but yet I refuse to let people's relationship with God be like this pawn to pad my bank account. It was just something like in my heart that couldn't go that way. So the fact that this has grown and the fact that, this is silly, but one screenshot someone sent me was like a foot fungus commercial that came on my YouTube. And I'm like, well, the fact that the foot fungus guy will pay me to preach the gospel, like I'm in.
Yeah.
And that's truly what progressed me to want to keep going and to want to build, was to see the opportunities with that.
And this is your full-time thing now. How would you say your time breaks down a week? And you mentioned getting over 50 comments daily. How are you sustaining, trying to reply to them, shooting, editing, planning, and making this sustainable? Like how long today you're making good income, you're supported by doing this, so you have money for the mission, but what kind of time does it take to sustain what you're creating?
Yeah, I mean, for all intents and purposes, I'm working a 9 to 5. Like, and I treat it like that. Sure, there are days that I go out and do other things, but I truly had to look at how I was stewarding my time. And to be really honest, Sean has been telling me to hire an editor for months, and I had to really look at that. And if it's taking me an hour and a half for each video, that's 6 videos a week, that's 8 hours. If I'm paying someone for that time, what would I be doing with that time? And so I had to look at how I'm stewarding my time. Would I just be, dawdling or doing something else or scrolling another Instagram feed, trying to go viral there? Like, what would I be doing? And so I truly have to treat this like my full-time job. I sit down, I go to my desk, I go out for walks. I do the purposeful things that this is a real business.
And you did mention, it's been so grateful, you mentioned Sean said, and I know you've been in some of our community inside of VRA Elite, which is a group coaching program. What have you learned? How has that been helpful and being connected to some of our stuff at Think Media?
It's been amazing. The coaching in there is probably, by far my favorite part. And just the number of opportunities we have for coaching. I could be on 6 calls a week if I want. And even with that, I commit to 1 because I choose to steward my time for my business. And I don't want to get this. Sometimes I think as students, we get this overwhelm of I have to learn everything and I have to be on every call and then I'm not doing the stuff. So I commit to 1 a week. Sometimes 2, but at least 1. But the program has shifted my channel. It has shifted the things. So obviously I got monetized before I joined VRA, but I didn't know how to go from 1,000 subscribers to 5 to 10 to 30. And that's what VRA has really done for me, is like, give me those strategies. Just yesterday, one of the coaches sent me a video of just like switching some tags in one of my videos. Something that seems so simple, but he went through and like switching these words in the description. And so the hands-on help has been, beyond what I ever thought.
I love hearing that feedback. And of course, that's our mission here at Think Media. And if anybody listening is curious, there's a couple things you've been a part of. There is our Video Ranking Academy program, which is a do-it-yourself, self-paced course that also has some community aspects. And then there's also some higher levels where there's group coaching and even one-on-one. But if anybody listening is interested, we'll make sure to link up in the show notes. viralvideocoach.com is actually a chance to just talk with somebody on our team. And if none of that stuff's right for you, no big deal. But maybe there's a level you want to engage with us because you'd say you want help on your YouTube journey. We have a team of coaches in various levels that you can engage with us. That's viralvideocoach.com. And we'll link that up in the show notes if you want to check more of that out. Now, I'm going to list these out. This is fascinating. Maybe ask you about this. You have 7 different ways that you're earning money now, which is wild. Ad revenue, sponsorships, affiliate marketing, building an email list, selling products and courses, generating leads for your business, coaching and consulting. On our form that we sent you, were you like checking boxes?
Well, yeah. And I was like, oh, this is actually, wait a minute. Let me go look at my spreadsheets. This is actually incredible. The amount of ways that income is coming in.
Okay, so you got monetized and you're getting great views per month and your videos are longer. So you probably noticed too that having longer form engaged audience just means that, do you just check the box to let YouTube place ads wherever they see fit?
Yeah, maybe that's a conversation for another day, but I'm just rinse and repeat. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. And so AdSense and then sponsorships. What have you learned there? Now that you're, a Bible study channel, what's an example of like a sponsorship you've done?
I've done one with BetterHelp. So they reached out, which was really cool to have someone else reach out. Hey, can we give you this? We'll pay this much for a 60-second ad. And I was like, wait, what? You'll pay me this much to talk about it for 60 seconds? That's something that I use and that I enjoy. And so they actually just emailed me last week to like re-up the deal. And to be honest, I was so proud of myself to respond back and say that offer isn't good enough for where I'm at now.
Come
so that
on.
was kind of cool
Negotiating
to say.
a little bit.
Yeah, to say that now. So that was really exciting. But that's been a big one that has come. And then I've had other like Bible study software and Bible study things that have reached out saying, how can we sponsor and be part of it too?
That's cool. And then affiliate marketing, like what kind of stuff could you be an affiliate for?
Yeah, mostly on Amazon. Amazon's a big one for me. People always asking my Bible, or especially now that I teach Bible journaling, like what kind of things I use for that, and things you wouldn't even think on a Bible channel. Hey, what microphone do you use? Oh, you care about that? Okay, let me add that kind of stuff too. So even though I'm not a YouTube channel, people still ask, how did you get started? How can I get started? I see what you're doing for this mission. I feel like I should do it too. Can you help me with that? So that's kind of awesome too.
That's cool. What Bible do you use? I'm personally curious.
Oh yeah, we on His Word My Walk, we read the New Living Translation.
Nice. I'm reading a new NLT wide margin this year. Is actually, I've done a lot of study Bibles, but I went wide margin, no study notes, so no distraction, just rolling through it.
That's where I'm at. Yep.
And then you're doing building an email list. And so do you give away something free that people can join your email list for?
I do. I have a free Powerful Prayers guide that I had before YouTube, but it is, I mean, gosh, the amount of people that download it every day, it's just incredible how my email list grows. And then I serve them once a week. I send an email as well with some additional like services or additional like insights and stuff too.
And then eventually you created a product or course. Do you have multiple?
I have my course, which I actually created 2 years ago when I had an audio podcast. And it just sat there because once I started YouTube, I didn't like how the videos looked. I didn't have a mic. I didn't have anything. So I just re-recorded them all in December. And now that is available and going incredible. There's a community there. There's almost 100 people in there. And yeah, it's again one of those things I created 2 years ago, and I continued to grow and continue to serve and just use something that was already there.
That's cool. And I love hearing listeners, and I will recap after all of this. You don't do all of this in one day. This is a lot. Yeah. This takes time to build this up. But I also love that there was like a 1.0 version. And I love the videos, and I love the mic. But now I just got to re-record it. But whenever you build upon the previous version, you're not starting over from scratch. That as we've re-recorded even Video Ranking Academy and are doing so, I'm like getting so much done in February of this year to really block out my March. There's a whole new version coming out of VRA, and I'm so excited for all this new stuff. And it's adding on the new tweaks and the new lessons, but it's also on the foundational framework that we've built previously. So it's really cool. And I'm curious, what's it called?
Bible Journaling Bootcamp.
And then how do you host it?
I host it in Circle.
So cool. Okay. And then generating leads for your business. I guess in a way that's a redundant income stream because it's kind of the same as building an email list. And then coaching and consulting. What does that look like for you?
Yeah, so that was actually before even YouTube, like mentoring Christian women and speaking at events and stuff like that. And that has just, it grew when I first started my YouTube, and now I've completely scaled it back because of my own capacity. Yes. I don't have the capacity to coach people one-on-one, but 2 weeks ago opened a monthly membership. So,
in addition to selling courses, differently, what's the membership called?
It's called The Sisterhood. So it's just women, us coming together.
Wow. So really then that still brings us to 7. If leads was redundant, a membership is really different than an online course. And so that's so cool. And there was like, I think a quote in the notes that said in the last 2 months of last year or something, you made as much as you made in your entire corporate career or something like that. Was that accurate?
No, each month, November, December, and January. So the last 3 months, each month I made more than I ever had in a month in corporate.
Wow.
So just knowing that this is, it just feels awesome.
I do want to kind of recap this. So this speaks to, you just kind of broke down like the business model, lots that to learn there. But I do want to encourage people from your perspective. You already mentioned this stuff takes time. I also love the professional mindset that you approach. I think there's way too much shysters, fraudsters, get rich quick people on the internet. This is not that. Think Media is not that. This podcast is not that. And you heard it from Kayla. She's like, it's like a 9 to 5. That's what I also, there are leverage things you can do, but this isn't the 4-hour work week. This is, at least I think media, some people create that, but this is for like mission driven people who love what you're doing, who want to make a difference in the world. And if you love the content and you get to enjoy it and you want to build a community, it can turn into something that is also very lucrative. So you have more money for the mission, but it does not happen overnight. This was a lot to learn. Can you break down just the process of year by year, even of your journey of figuring out teaching, email marketing, course building, and what it really takes to maybe build this kind of career practically?
Yeah, it has to build time over time. I think we can always get sidetracked by what someone else is doing right now or what someone else is doing. It's like the whole like start with why book, right? Like, and like if you're not selling Oreos, then what are you not doing? There's all this stuff. And so I had online business before in the fitness industry. So I knew how to build an email list and I knew how to do certain things. At one point doing fitness, I did a 30-day devotional through the book of Matthew 3 years ago. That's exactly what I did for those 30 days. Literally pulled out the PDF, changed the cover, changed some of the questions, put some updated website information, and that's what I use. Same with my course. It was something I had built 2.5 years ago, and I just revamped it and put it out again. And so to just have those moments that help me get a start, and then to see a little bit of progress, that's what helps me keep going. It's like in anything I've done. It's like once you see a little progress, that's what gives you the momentum to keep going. But it is a lot of work. I don't say this is easy. I don't say it's just all fun and games. It's purposeful, but it is a lot of work too.
Yeah, I mean, that's so in line with our message at Think Media and kind of different than a lot of the over promises that people make on the internet. What's also inspiring about this is I hope listeners maybe feel encouraged that I know we want to have this stuff happen quick. And I do believe mentorship and strategy can get us there faster. But there's something about embracing the journey and embracing the process. Like if it wasn't for my working at a church as a director of communications and being an intern in the video department and then being on weird freelance video projects that taught me about, whoops, I forgot to press record or charge my battery or audio issues and even front facing with clients. If it wasn't for talking to customers at the burger place I worked at and like refining my communication skills there, it's interesting how God gives us opportunities to learn all these divergent, detailed skills in your fitness business. And then how you're able to pull stuff from years ago that you're ultimately implementing today and continuing to build on it. I just hope that the message coming across, on the one hand, I might feel a little bit like, man, I was hoping like I'd be completely arriving at my destination in the next 2 weeks. Probably not. But what could really be built in the next 2 months, in the next 2 years, and even having a legacy vision of what could be built over the next decade if you just keep making consistent small steps forward. For someone starting today as we land the plane, what would kind of your first few steps be? You're talking to a girlfriend. You're like, hey, she's like, I kind of want to do what you are doing. I want to learn from some of your mistakes or what you may have done a little bit differently. What are my first few moves if I want to follow in your footsteps, Kayla?
You just got to take action now. Like, I'm not big on messy action. The word messy doesn't like work with my whole mind and like persona. Yeah. But you have to take action, which means preparing ahead of time. I study ahead of time before. There's way more before I hit record than after I hit record in everything that I do. And you have to just put it out there. And know that the main thing for me was this is truly about me serving and helping someone else. It's not about me making money. The money came much after I started serving and continued serving and continued serving. And then have something small. So for me, it wasn't, $100 courses, or it wasn't these big mastermind weekends or anything. I created a $15 PDF workbook that went with the book of Matthew. And to this day, that is still my top selling PDF workbook every month. But I'll tell you this, since May 1st of last year, so however many months that is, 6 or 7, I've sold over 600 PDF workbooks that are $15 each. So like you can do the math that over time and as things grow, something that took me 2 long days or longer to put together is now just residual. And so I continue to rinse and repeat. But step one is you just got to take action with what you have. You have a phone. So just hit record and go.
Yeah, that's really great. And there's a couple quotes I think that could serve viewers and principles. Your income is directly correlated to the amount of buy buttons you have on your website. I love that you created something, and it wasn't something huge, it was something small, a $15 PDF workbook. And now with over 600 sold, that's earned $9,000. For a lot of people that rely on AdSense only, that is actually kind of like a moonshot. Can seem impossible. And so the power of eventually creating something small is really interesting. I think the more preparation is huge. A lot of times, yes, take action. You've heard me say it probably a zillion times. I'm like, yeah, punch fear in the face and press record, but also like reverse engineer. And I actually spent a lot more time researching and preparing. And it's a tension of those two things, which I think is interesting. And then it makes me, at one point in VRA, we did like these 10 money principles or something. And I can't list them off the top of my head, but one of them is your income is directly correlated to the amount of value you add to the marketplace. And I know that we're aligned on this servant leadership idea. Like if you help people get what they want, you'll eventually get what you want. And it's a matter of order. And the order is, it's like we're not chasing money, we're chasing impact. And we're chasing making a difference in people's lives with trust. And the principle that God has woven into the universe, that our income is correlated to adding value. Have you ever heard of this book, Business Secrets from the Bible by Daniel Rabbi Lapin?
Yeah. Yep.
It makes me think what's so interesting is that God wove these principles into even the Torah, that when we become obsessed with meeting the needs of his children, when we become obsessed with serving other individuals and having the opportunity to do that in a way that we're compensated for doing that, that's the motive. Like that's like to sell is to serve. And so anyways, I love you speaking about coming from a place of service. As we land the plane, I have one kind of interesting question for you. I'll tell you what the question is and we'll get to it because I want you to shout your stuff out, and we'll do that first. So we'll get to it in a second. But it's actually, is there any counterintuitive pieces of advice you would give to creators for growing on YouTube in 2025? Think about that. But before we get there, if people want to see what you're doing, we're going to make sure to list it in the show notes. List it out for me. Where can people follow you, see what you're doing, look at your content, give a few shout outs?
Yeah, just come find me at His Word, My Walk on YouTube. I'm there every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, reading the Bible. But there are 16 complete books of the Bible there with you. If you want a friend to read with you one chapter a day, there's a whole community there too. And then BibleJournalingBootcamp.com is where you can learn and grow in how you journal through God's Word as well.
I love it. Okay. Can you think of a counterintuitive piece of advice that you would give creators for growing this year on YouTube?
Yeah, I don't know if this is counterintuitive, but it's one I really wanted to say, and I know you've been talking about this one a lot lately too, is just like, be you. Like, I truly believe that God has done this, but I'm me. Like, I am me when I sit down there with someone and when I sit down and drink my cup of tea because I can't read any longer, or I'm truly just me. And the thing that sets me apart is that. You know, there's a lot of people who teach the Bible on YouTube. There's a lot of people technically more qualified than me, but I gave God my yes. And I gave God my yes as me. I tell people when I first started teaching spin classes, I taught like the instructor did until she wasn't in the room. And then I was like, oh, I can play my music and say what I want into the mic. And that's when my classes started to grow. And I became one of the top instructors, was when I didn't have someone I thought I had to emulate. So I don't know if that's counterintuitive, but I think we are all so unique, and look at what we consume. And it's like unique people that we didn't know existed. And so if you can just be like, truly be yourself, that's how my community has grown, for sure.
Well, Kayla, this is so inspiring, and I just want to acknowledge you and thank you. You're such a powerful member of our community, and the whole Think Media team is just grateful for you being a part of what we're doing and all the good you're doing in the world. And I love that advice. Listeners of the Think Media podcast, make videos according to the music you want. No, I don't mean like the actual music. You might get copywritten, but I mean like, what's your vibe? What's your tone? And say what you want into the microphone. And I love the modeling the masters. So we have mentors. Sometimes we talk similar to them, but then when we launch out to be ourselves and be authentic, Kayla, that is so inspiring. And Think Video Podcast. And man, if you got a value out of this episode today, like, rate, share, review, wherever you watch or listen to the podcast. And I'm talking to you, Apple. I'm talking to you, Spotify. Leave a review. Hit those stars on Spotify too. There's stuff happening. They're really trying to make their way in the podcast game. So wherever you like to consume the Think Video Podcast, it always means the world. If you share this or maybe tag somebody or pass an episode along, it helps get the word out for what we're doing. In the meantime, my name is Sean Cannell, your guide to building a profitable YouTube channel. This is the Think Media Podcast, and I can't wait to connect with you in a future episode.
Febreze. When you host, your bathroom can feel like a revolving door. Keep things fresh with Febreze Bathroom. It's an outlet-free air freshener that fights odors for 45 days. So even after every flush, you know your bathroom smells amazing. La, 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 la.
Try Crest 3D White. Finally, a daily whitening toothpaste for whiter teeth in one day.
$55,000 from one affiliate program.
One of the things I was looking for when it came to affiliate products is that looking for one of those higher ticket items where I could earn a really good commission. I found a company and quickly became someone who did very, very well with their program because I started to rank videos.
That's the power of ranked videos. It truly is passive income.
Work based on time, not by accomplishment. And it'll force you to start making choices.
Explain kind of what your thinking was in regards to this idea of a YouTube funnel.
Yeah, so
I don't think anybody talks about this really. So our guest today earned over $55,000 from one affiliate program using a unique strategy that I haven't heard anywhere else. And in today's episode of the Think Media Podcast, she's going to be breaking down the exact YouTube video funnel for how she was able to earn money on the side while working a factory job, balancing family life, and growing her channel over multiple years, and then eventually being able to go full time. She's also going to be sharing some practicals about finances, like paying down debt and being strategic if you yourself have the ambition of doing YouTube part-time or full-time, and her tips and the lessons she's learned along the way. And really the 1% better method that has helped her constantly improve her videos, build her channel, while just using her smartphone to create content. My guest today, Jacqueline, has a channel called The Wild Floridian, and its goal is to help Florida gardeners and people with similar climates find the joy of growing food and flowers in the Sunshine State. Jacqueline, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Sean. Hi, everybody.
So I'm so excited to have you on the show today. And I want to just have kind of like some quick tips right at the start before we unpack your story a little bit later. But before we pressed record, we added up how much money you've earned from one affiliate program, and it's over $55,000. Can you tell this story as far as what is this product, like how did you find it, and how does it tie into your channel?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, when it comes to gardening, one of the things I was looking for when it came to affiliate products is that looking for one of those higher ticket items where I could earn a really good commission. Because I don't know about you, well, maybe you, but I don't really like selling. It's like not the thing I want to be doing all the time. I want to talk about flowers and vegetables. So I was looking for something that I thought would be really useful to my Florida community. Something that might go beyond my Florida community that would be interested for like people no matter where they live. And then I was looking for that higher ticket item. And when I kind of did like a breakdown analysis, it really came down to raised garden beds. And for me, this kind of fit multiple needs of my philosophy, which was because I'm the wild Floridian, I do like to garden a little wild. And one of my tips for my gardeners is, because I did a bunch of it in my front yard in a suburban neighborhood, was like, sometimes you need to put your crazy in a box, and sometimes that box is a raised garden bed. So it tied in really, really well. The other thing was like I really focused on something that was unique about me versus a lot of gardeners and homesteaders, which is I have that factory background. And one of the things that's unique about that is I have a lot of experience dealing with materials in very corrosive and really difficult to work in situations that just really break them down. So as I started to look into metal garden beds, which I knew for me would be the right choice, I found a company that not only had some really great features that I knew I would be able to advocate well for my Floridians that I thought would be really a benefit for them to have if they were going to go down the raised garden bed route. In addition, I looked into their whole commission structure, and they were one of the ones that was willing to pay a really nice commission for you as a creator doing all this work for them, because that's what you're doing, right, when you're marketing. So I signed up for their program and quickly became someone who did very, very well with their program because I started to rank videos. And then more recently, I started to think through kind of the whole journey that everyone goes through when they think through buying a raised garden bed. So where do they start before they go and they decide on metal? And then once they decide on metal, how do they go about picking a brand to look at? And so that has been what I've been working on over the last couple of years.
I love this, and I want our listeners to maybe they're new to some of these concepts. There's some nuances in here. Let's first hit kind of just even how this works if someone's new to affiliate marketing. So what was the website that you ended up finding? What's the brand name?
So the brand I work with is Vajayga. And what's interesting about it, I suspected it, they finally would confirm it to me, and now they confirm it on their website, is unlike a lot of the raised bed, the metal bed companies, is they're actually the manufacturer. And that was one of the things, because I come from manufacturing. I know what co-packers, if you're not familiar with co-packers, basically they make stuff for other people. I had a really big suspicion that a bunch of the metal bed companies were just the label and not the actual makers. And Vajayga was the one that I knew from looking at their stuff. I'm like, I'm pretty sure they're actually the one making this stuff. And so I really got excited about the idea of working, being a factory girl, working with the factory people.
That's so cool. So they basically supply white label other brands that slap their name on it, but they're kind of the original. They're the source.
Yeah. So they've been doing it for a long time. And only in the last few years, they decided just to do more direct sale instead of just doing the white label.
So again, you find a specific brand, a specific website. You scroll to the bottom of the page, and usually this is where listeners could find it says, affiliate program or associates program or influencer program. And then commission is the percentage amount. If someone clicks your custom link after watching one of your YouTube videos, it's the percentage amount that you earn. And I think I looked it up. I think it starts at maybe 10, and then depending on performance can go as high as 20% of the sale. Am I in the ballpark there?
Yeah, they have a performance-based one, which is one of the other things I really liked, because there's a lot of brands like it doesn't matter how much you sell, like you're just going to get this small amount of commission. And if you do it really strategically and like you get videos that are ranking for search terms, like you're sending a lot of volume their way. And so I liked the fact that they were willing to recognize that. And I think the other benefit, and this is why it's a benefit to deal with the manufacturer, is because those other companies that are just putting their label on it, right, they're already having to take a hit on their profit margin because they didn't make it. So now that they were direct selling, they have more available funds to allow for them to pay out to creators. So that allows them, they're hands down the highest payer that I can find for metal beds.
So that's one of the tips we talk about all the time, is if you can find higher commission structures, you can earn more, because it's like if you make 1% off of a $10 product on Amazon, that's like 10 cents. But if you make 20% off of a few $100s in raised garden beds, 20% on $500, I think is $100. Mm-hmm. So that's some significant money. If you've got YouTube videos that are out there that people are watching, they love that what information they're learning, they're finding a product. Okay, so you find a brand, you audit kind of their commission structure. You also find it's a product that you yourself love and can endorse and get behind. And then you mentioned you rank videos. For somebody that's new to that concept, like what's the mindset behind why, as opposed to just making a video and talking about it, what is a ranked video in your mind, and how does that connect to this?
Yeah, so I think one of the other things for me, just back on the commission structure, and I'll tie into this, is that because my channel is just about Florida gardening, I'm never going to be the channel that has millions and millions of views for typical videos, because I'm only talking to Floridians. Mm-hmm. So in general, I'm not in the volume game. So whenever I'm going to go do something, it's got to be a quality, higher paying product. So whether it's my own product or an affiliate, like I'm not going to be selling millions of things. So I can't just be in the pennies game. I have to be in the like, we're talking $10, $20 each time. So from that standpoint, I needed to think through. So when it comes to ranking, so now back to the ranking videos. So because there's only going to be so many Floridians who are interested in buying a metal garden bed, in order to rank, I had to think through like who's going to be interested in buying a raised garden bed, whether they're in Florida or not. And I'm basically trying to hit those when you go to your like YouTube search, right? They're typing in raised garden bed or metal garden bed. And these are the words that they're looking for. How do I get the video that shows up first to help them in their journey of their choices that they're going to make? So the first ones I started to do was just for the brand Vijayga. And that's actually one of the first ones I started to rank, is because most people, when they do affiliates, they just do the unboxing. Like I opened it, it looks great, and I move on. And because I was so focused on materials, one of the first ones that started to do really well, which was the 2 years ago when I really started to pick a commission, is I did the 1 year review. Because a lot of people want to know, right? This is not a cheap thing to buy, right? They're spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and there's purchases that come in that are over $1,000. So they want to know, like, is this thing going to last? And so for that was kind of one of the first ways I kind of made myself different than the other people who just did unboxings, is I did the 1 year review. And I also took advantage of that with using questions from my first video to try to clarify things for everybody on things that they were still wondering about, like, does it bulge, does it bend, does it rust, does it get hot? Because I live in Florida, right? So I tried to come back around and answer questions. And there was another thing I did that was also really distinct in that video, is I, in the original video, asked people based on what I showed them, how it compared to some of the other big metal brands without putting them down. I was like, hey, what do you guys think? Is this similar, the same, different? So I had a lot of comments telling me what people thought was the same, but also they thought the Vijayga brand was better at. And so then in that 1 year of video, I was able to share those. So it wasn't just like me telling you to buy Vijayga, it was also my community giving their thoughts on it too. So it made it a really strong video to be able to help.
My Zen garden wasn't comforting enough, so I added peanut butter M&Ms.
So creamy.
And comforting.
Hey, leave my Zen garden alone!
Well, that's not very zen of you.
I'm a work in progress. Peanut butter M&Ms.
One sheet of Bounty versus one sheet of the ordinary brand. One sheet of Bounty is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less. Get the job done with one. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Take it back. I said beagle, not bagel.
Oh.
CarMax has a 10-day money-back guarantee. Why don't you?
Because you need like lasers and stuff.
Experience CarMax, and you'll never settle for anything less.
Connection problems shouldn't have you looking like this. Deliver remote IT support that's even more supportive.
Chose AMU because of the affordability, and I needed a school that would allow me to work full time but still further my education on my schedule. I would only be able to do that because of the flexibility that AMU offers.
Community giving their thoughts on it too. So it made it a really strong video to be able to help people in their purchase decision.
There's so many points to recap here, and I want, there's tactics in how that you've gotten views, how you went full time, talking about how you balance it with other life and family. We're going to unpack a lot in the in this podcast, but I do want to kind of recap some things for listeners. So the big strategy here is Jacqueline's made over $55,000 from Vijayga, this one raised garden bed website, in affiliate commissions over the last few years, from making strategic videos. She found this program, she signed up, she made strategic videos, specifically ranked videos, which would be a video you post today that keeps getting views for weeks, months, and years to come. But it's also not so simple. I think one of the things you're hitting on too is intent. When someone is searching for certain videos, they actually are looking to make a purchase. And so one of the reasons people struggle with affiliate marketing is maybe they just put affiliate links in their vlog, but people are watching the vlog just for entertainment or some other piece of information, as opposed to like, no, I'm trying to make a buying decision, find a raised garden bed that is going to last. And then even the different, you're treating this like a professional. You're not just dabbling in this. And the fact you created a video that was a 1 year later, I just can imagine how much buyer confidence that gives. It's not just an unboxing. So even the types of videos you do and the amount of work and patience you put in, this didn't happen overnight, but $55,000 is crazy. And I do want to keep it moving, but if you are listening to this, Jacqueline has been a part of our Video Ranking Academy program for years, and we do have a free class. If you want to learn more, what is all this affiliate stuff and all of that, you can watch the class on demand after this podcast. If you go to thinkmasterclass.com, or we'll link that in the show notes, and break down more of this affiliate stuff, ranking stuff. But I'm also curious about the patient side, because what would you say from first finding them to first posting videos, how long did it take to start seeing any revenue, let alone the significant revenue?
The first unboxing, we got a couple sales initially, but it took months before we started to really see anything significant, which didn't surprise me because I think, again, kind of positioning that first video, a lot of people are unboxing and they're like, you have to buy this. This is the best thing ever. And I didn't. I said, hey, I'm trying this because backstory, I had bought another brand of beds that were metal, and within 18 months, they were absolutely falling apart from rust. So basically it was me saying to my community, I'm trying a different brand. I'm not happy with a brand that I had not done affiliate with. It just was Amazon. I said, but I'm trying this other one. Everything I look at online and in the manuals looks good. So I have confidence that this could be good, but I don't know. I'm not sure. So I didn't position myself as I have blessed this product. So that was the first step, which also imagine you're just watching that for the first time. I'm not being yeah, spend $1,000. So you're going to walk away from that first video being but it helped make that 1 year review better because I kept it very open to hey, maybe another brand's better. Maybe I should be trying that. And that's how I was able to start getting details from people about they didn't like the liners, or they were seeing problems with screws with other brands and all sorts of other stuff because they're don't try this brand. I've already tried this. Or some people said, yeah, I've done Vajayga. I've had them for a year. They're great. You should be good. And I'm oh, okay, great. So there was definitely a long game. And I knew that one of the things I was interested in was where's the 1 year review? Where's the 5 year review people have that? It's one thing for a company to be it lasts 20 years. Okay, prove it. Show me it's worked. And so
are you going to do, what's your next one? Will your next one be 2 years? Or are you going to do have you done one yet?
2 years last year.
Yeah.
It didn't perform as well because I think most people hit the 1 year and they're great,
sure,
good enough. But yeah, my plan is to do a 5 year one because I think that's really important for people because in theory, they should last 20 years. And what's really important, and this is kind of the whole own what's different about you. So I live in an environment that is very rough on metal. It's hot, metal rusts when there's a lot of moisture and there's a lot of salt, which Florida has lots of. So we have lots of salt in our air from the ocean, and we have lots of water all the time. So if we're going to have rust, it happens very fast here. And so for me, I'm hey, is it going to last 5 years? I want to know that it's going to last 5 years because also to me, and I think this is important, if you're going to do affiliate, is you need to protect your community. So at the end of the day, if it comes out that all these beds rusted, I would be 100% hey guys, don't buy it anymore. Because I want to make sure my community, I'm earning the trust that I've, I'm maintaining that trust with them. Because and I think they would understand that. I only know what I know, but if I know there's a problem, I'm going to be sounding the alarms to say hey, it's not a good choice anymore. We have information that's new and different. And you want to make sure you have that trust because if people feel you're just selling so you can get money for them, that's not really a great relationship, right?
Well, you just dropped multiple bombs that I think are some of the coolest things that I'm hearing. Unfortunately, the YouTube industry, the online marketing industry can get a really bad name because in some cases people are on just quick cash. They're going for a cash grab. They're just trying to make money. And at Think Media, we're trying to have entirely different values. The one that the fact you said you need to protect your community, affiliate marketing done ethically is creating a win-win-win. So of course, a win for ultimately the end user that's going to get a product, a raised garden bed that works for them, doesn't rust, they love it. It's going to create a win for the brand because they made a sale and that small business, is growing. But then you as well, you're funding, you're supporting your family. And so the mentality of like caring about your brand, and I would hope Think Media podcast listeners, I totally understand, like we're anxiously wanting to go full time as soon as we can or grow our businesses, but just having that long game mentality, that's another word I loved that you use, and focusing on the trust you're building. That's really all you have. I mean, you might be able to make money this week or this month, but if it's at the expense of trust, then you are eroding the long-term opportunity of your brand. One of our core values at Think Media is built to last. And so we try to, every decision we make decisions through that framework and that core value of, are we building to last, or are we making short-term decisions? And then own what's different about you.
I was going to say, Sean, is that I think kind of in that vein, like you have to show that you're doing that. So I had videos with that other brand, even though it was like an Amazon affiliate. When I realized it was a problem, I actually did a 18-month review of that product with its name, worked on ranking that video. And then what I did is I went back through all my videos and I removed the affiliate link because I didn't want people buying that bed. And that's kind of the thing, is like people could see that, like, you have to show them that you're willing to take the hit for them, because it's more important that you are giving them the information or pointing them towards stuff that you trust. And when you find out, that's why I said, like, when you find out that maybe there's a problem, because sometimes you just don't know what you don't know, is that you are making the action. So I did make a ranking video for the other brand that basically said, don't buy this. This is a bad idea. And let me show you exactly why.
Well, I just want to acknowledge you, Jacqueline, too. That is actually like the extra mile of your ethics and your integrity, because I think what some do is at the bottom of the pyramid of integrity would be like, they promote products that are actually bad and they're being deceptive. I think what most do, though, is they just go silent. Like what they do instead, like, and this happens, there's a lot of, especially in like crypto or the personal finance YouTubers and stuff, sometimes they're like, okay, maybe they promoted something that was sketchy, but they just stop talking about it. But maybe they leave the links in their old videos, they leave stuff up. But I just want to really acknowledge your character to then say, no, actually, I want to be vocal, because the effort of you making a video to say, hey, these beds aren't good, they will rust, will be the anti-sale. You're protecting people, but you're not going to make any money. Right. You don't want to, because you don't want to sell the thing that's going to rust. But anyways, that's just very powerful. But I think it speaks to not only where you are now, but just where you're going to be in the future. I was talking to Elliot on our team in our Slack DMs about just some of the people that, create content and sell courses and whatnot. And he was sort of shocked by the way one person was doing it. And I said, yeah, at least as much as possible at Think Media, we're trying to do things differently. And we want to be, the big idea was like, I want to be here in 5 to 10 years. I want to be here longer than that. I want to be here in 25 years. And so even if short term you make less or have a short term pain, the trust, longevity of your brand is going to be connected to making these hard decisions. So that's a really powerful decision that you made. So as we keep going, I am curious that this idea of affiliate marketing in a specific niche, for creators listening, maybe business owners, they want to earn extra streams of income, but they might not be in gardening. How might they go about finding similar high-paying affiliate opportunities in their niche? What steps would you recommend they do?
Well, first, and I think this is going to become important when you go to sell, because like I said, I'm not someone who likes to sell, is first I like to look at, what do I use? Because the easiest thing to sell is the thing that you're just like at the grocery store or talking to your neighbor or talking to someone and being like, oh, you have that problem? Oh, you should get fill in the blank. So thinking through like what kind of things you use, and then put focus on like, so make a list of that and then focus on like, what are the higher ticket items? Especially because in the beginning, we all are typically not volume channels. We're not going to have like millions and millions and millions of views coming through or millions and millions of people clicking to buy. So it's those higher ticket items, because you don't have to sell a lot to start really making some money. Like you can make 10 sales and all of a sudden, boom, like it's hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars. So I think through it that way first. And then second, what companies do you trust with those higher ticket items would be my next question. And then do they have an affiliate? Now, if you're not sure or you're not brand loyal, but then the next thing is like, you want to go and check and do some research. Like, is anyone else affiliated with them? / are there reviews out there that maybe are making you question? Because I think it's both sides. Like, you want to look at for the good stuff, like, oh, they have great commission, but like also is there some stuff out there that maybe it's putting a stink on it? Like, maybe I don't want to associate me with that. Because that's some of the things that I found interesting, not necessarily with affiliate, but in other aspects, talking to fellow YouTubers, is that how many people are willing to sign up their brand themselves and like put a stamp of approval on something when it's like, but like, what if it's not good? Like, what if it's bad? Like, what if there's people who aren't like trying to do the right things? Like, you've just like told your whole community it's great, and you've like aligned your brand with it at the end of the day. So I think that's the other things to think about is research, see what you can find out there. Good, bad, or ugly.
Hershey's milk chocolate with whole almonds makes for a wholly amazing, wholly delicious experience that's, well, wholly Hershey's.
Fire for life. Imes for life.
Just for Men gives you the strongest, fullest, thickest looking beard yet. Mustache and beard, now with keratin. In just 5 minutes, score your best beard ever. Just for Men.
Good, bad, or ugly, not just good.
It's like a little mini masterclass. What do you personally use? Make a list of that. And then are there any higher ticket items on the list? 2, 3, what companies do you trust already? 4 or 3, I don't know. And then do they have an affiliate program? And you can always Google, like the tips would be search the brand name and the word affiliate program, or the brand name and the word associate program, or the brand name and referral program. There could be different things. And then do your research. Yeah, are there other YouTube videos of people already promoting this product? You can kind of gauge interest that way. Are there other reviews out there? And find some opportunities in your niche. You know, one of the channels I want to start, and I've got plenty to do, so I'm not really doing this. Like, what do I use? I'm personally obsessed with just kind of biohacking stuff and high performance to try to make it and be peak energy for being a dad and being a CEO and being a content creator. And so I'm into stuff like red light panels, and someday I'm already looking as I clean out my garage to get like a infrared sauna and things like that. These things are not cheap. And so I'm thinking about a YouTube channel related to that. Now, you know, many listening might not relate, but it's like, do you have an expensive hobby? Do you have something you like to ski? You like to golf? You know, being an affiliate for some of these golf clubs, like, you know, that driver, a couple $100s, thousands, depending on, it's interesting. And, you know, those become higher ticket items, and people might want to see a review, a comparison. So that could lead to a strategy for your channel. Now, today, you've got a couple different income streams. What percentage of YouTube income comes from affiliate marketing at large, from all different types of programs you're a part of? And then what are your other income streams? And roughly, how does the pie break down?
So my three major kind of streams is YouTube AdSense, not in order. I'll give you the percentages in a second. So YouTube AdSense, affiliate, and then personal product. And last year it was about 45% was coming from my own products. And then about 30% was affiliate. And then the rest was YouTube, and then some other this and that. I'll call it the bits and bobs.
So maybe 25%-ish AdSense and other. No, that would have been the wrong math.
I'll give you the numbers. 45% personal product, 30% affiliate, 26% YouTube. And then the different, anything that's not in those three numbers is just other things.
Got it. And so affiliate marketing, very significant, and more so than others. And I think because, again, you figure out how to rank videos plus a higher ticket affiliate program. But let's keep it going. Like,
I would also say it's the lowest effort one, because I only put out couple videos a year, maybe 2 or 3 videos a year related to it. So I don't typically call to action to that link. It's really only through videos I'm trying to rank as part of like the full big picture of how people think through raised garden beds. That's basically it. And then everything else is much more effort.
Yes, and that's the power of ranked videos. It truly is passive income, meaning videos you've made months ago or years ago are still being found and watched. So by low effort, effort couldn't really be lower. Like as far as like today's effort is like 0, and tomorrow's effort, because of work you did yesterday, that's bringing in passive income, correct?
Yes.
Now, you've brought up a subject that, you know, we actually recently just had a YouTube mastermind in Las Vegas. About 65 people just got back from that event. It was really cool. And it was interesting. We were talking a little bit about this concept of YouTube funnels. I don't think anybody talks about this really. And kind of the idea that like, well, one, funnels are typically like, okay, you're somewhere on the web like YouTube, and then you send somebody to a landing page and there's something free that you give them. And then eventually maybe you offer them a product that you have products like gardening planner and some other things. Some people have online courses, but a YouTube funnel is kind of this idea of like a journey of videos on YouTube itself. And this is also tied into deeper education around raised garden beds. Can you explain like kind of how you thought through this and what this idea is? It's very unique. And in the YouTube education space, it's rare for people to maybe hear something they've never heard before. And I'm thinking that our listeners probably has like never heard this before. Like it's pretty cool to have, you know, this kind of at least concept that I think can help us all think bigger, think different, and maybe really tap into an opportunity for us personally on the Think Media podcast. So explain kind of what your thinking was in regards to this idea of a YouTube funnel.
Yeah. So the idea is that, you know, you usually when people talk about sales funnels, right, you have someone with some sort of problem and you have something to sell to them that's going to help solve that problem. And then there's the kind of the journey. You guys aren't familiar with funnels. And then there's the journey of slowly helping them understand the problem, the solutions to the problem, and then why your specific product can solve the problem and it meets all the solution needs. So I kind of took that idea as like, okay, there's people out there who are they're just thinking about raised garden beds. So I started to reverse from like, okay, so if someone is about to buy this Vajayga bed, what's the video they probably watched before they landed on the website? And then what's the video before that? And then the video before that. And I basically outline a multi-year funnel where I'm continuing to slowly add videos that make their way from, I have a problem. So the first step is, so the final steps is basically, I know I want to buy Vajayga, but I don't know, like, should I? Like, they're more looking for confirmation that they should hit that buy button. But before that, they, for some reason, thought metal beds. So that's the next step up. It's like Vajayga is the answer to this is a good metal bed. So before that, they're trying to figure out like, what do I need to look for in metal beds, which was the video I ranked last year, which was kind of the best tips about metal beds, where it wasn't about the brand. It was really just like, here are all the features you should be looking for, no matter what brand you're looking for. And then at the end, it's like, hey, if you want the bed that like meets all of these and you don't have to like spend a bunch of time doing research, here's the brand. I would suggest go watch that video, or you can just go straight to the link. But then before that, which is a video I just recently released, they didn't even know if they wanted metal. They see people with wood beds, they see people with concrete beds, they see people with metal beds, and like, why should or shouldn't you buy those things? And so that's the more recent one I did, which is I did a material comparison, which is the pros and cons of each material. And so it's just slowly stepping them through based on that journey. And I have more that are kind of either in the same step or actually further out that would continue that idea. And every step of the way, like that's one of the things I'm really proud of with the material video is like, I set it up that it doesn't matter which material they end up with at the end of the day. I'm just trying to help people figure out what's best because I'm really passionate. I really get excited about, I'm an engineer by background. So I get excited talking people through kind of what they should be thinking through, because a lot of people will tell you in the gardening world, like wood's the best, but for Floridians, it's not. And then I know a lot of Floridians get very frustrated because they buy wood beds, which is where my kind of experience is because we have termites. We have termites so bad. Those things are gone in about a year. But in other locations, woods can be a really good choice. So I was really proud of like trying to give that very balanced view to kind of help people think through. And then at the end of the video, it's kind of like, hey, if metal ended up being the choice, like the thing you think is going to work best for you, kind of going through this whole story, now go check out this video that's going to help you pick metal. Go figure out the things you need for metal. And so it's all about building trust. And at the end of the day, most people who are watching these videos will not click my link to go buy a bed. But it's going to help a lot of people. And maybe one day they'll see something else that I'm doing and they like it, or maybe they won't. Most of them won't, and that's okay. But what makes me feel good is like I've helped people on that journey make better choices so they don't end up with beds that like rusted or wasted a bunch of time on wood that's going to rot here or whatever it's going to end up being. So that's kind of how I think through it.
Yeah, I love that. And that is, we were talking about the 5 levels of awareness, and that's kind of what you're at our event recently. And that's sort of what you're talking about as well. Like, where are they at? Do they already know a product name related to their, that they're researching maybe 2 different raised garden bed brand names? Are they back just really early? They're generally unaware of the types of metals and everything, and creating videos at every stage of the 5 levels of awareness can actually expand the opportunity, and then leading people on YouTube itself through this journey. And like you said, you know, the thing with affiliate marketing is, of course, a lot of people will maybe watch a video and not end up, they still might purchase a product, but they don't click your link. But how many more people, how many people will ultimately over the years? And you're getting AdSense. You're sending them on a journey, and it's also tracking all the way back to that purpose-driven vision of actually helping people. Like, you're able to do this full time, make a living, scale your income up a little bit, but like truly help and serve people and improve people's lives in the process. So it's such a cool thing that we get to do as creators. When did you reach monetization? Do you remember when that happened? And take us back to where you were, what you were doing in like your day-to-day life. And maybe let's go a little bit further back. When did this channel start for you?
It started September 2019 is when I started officially.
So in September 2019, you start, what was your life circumstances? And how did you figure out you're starting a channel from scratch? What's happening in your life, family, and how did you find the time to get started, and what did that look like?
So 2019, and I tell this to people I used to work with because people thought like, because I didn't talk about the fact that I had a YouTube channel for years there. So it just seemed like it came out of nowhere, and they're like, oh. So in 2019, early 2019, something happened at work where I had thought I was going to work for the company for the rest of my life until I retired. And then I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. And so thus became a 6-month exploratory exercise of what do you want to do? If it's not this, then what? And I eventually, so my best friend, actually, fun fact, I said this to my husband and he didn't even know this. I was like, the way I got my job at the factory was actually because I helped make movies in college. And it was basically project management. So a lot of people didn't know that about me, that's how I actually got an engineering job. So I basically thought I really want to help people help Florida's wildlife and its ecosystems, but from their garden. And because that's the most like attainable way. And a lot of people in Florida weren't born here, so they don't really know that like there's a lot of decisions they're making that are probably having a negative impact on our ecosystem, and they're not meaning to do anything wrong. It's just they just don't know what they don't know. So that's kind of where it started. I joined VRA January 2020 because I had been following along with Think videos, and I was like, so I'm one of those people. You might be one of these people out there. You pick up things and then you drop them. So I was like, hey, you got to like consistently do this before you put out money for like a course or a community or anything. So after I'd done it from September to January, I was like, okay. I looked at my husband. I'm like, are we in? He's like, we're in. And so this was like the beginning of the plan. At the same time, I'm working full time in the factory. January 2020, you remember March 2020, everything shuts down. I work in a food factory, so I'm an essential worker. So there was no like, I get to hang out and watch like, I guess, what was it, Tiger King or all that stuff. I don't know, I heard lots of stuff. But like my job was to get as much food out the door for you guys because all the shelves were cleared. And so there were lots of panic calls from lots of executives about like, how can we get more out the door? And of course, like people are being quarantined, but not really in my department. Actually, we were really good about staying clean and safe. So we put out a lot of food for you guys. So you're welcome. But at the same time, I'm releasing like 2 videos a week. like a crazy person. And then I got monetized. I think it was almost about a year to the day was about when I got monetized. It was like late September. And then I started to make like, all that AdSense. You're making like $10, $20 in the beginning. I will say one of the surprising things that I learned is gardening can have a pretty good RPM compared to like a lot of other niches. Like sometimes I have like low end finance channel type RPM, which was kind of a surprise. So I mostly worked on AdSense in the beginning. And then fast forward, I joined Inner Circle, I think like a year or two later, which was for OGs who've been around, that's what preceded VRA Elite. It was the Elite version back then. And now Elite's the thing that I'm in now. So, but that whole time for the first 3 years of YouTube, I was working full time in the factory. So I worked a minimum 10 hours a day, lots of weekends, holidays, took lots of calls in the middle of the night, 36-hour breakdowns, super fun times. So that's what I used to do. And then I'd run home and I'd try to film something and I'd edit and get it out the door.
When life calls for a little peanut butter M&Ms.
Try Crest 3D White. Finally, a daily whitening toothpaste for whiter teeth in one day.
Automation and AI-powered tools in Greenhouse can not only help you drive efficiency, but also help you deliver a fair, transparent, and engaging candidate experience that wins more top talent. Hire better altogether with Greenhouse.
Tire, we're out to change the entire tire business.
We actually take care of our customers.
That's what makes us different. That and our one employee that happens to be a tire.
We're not your ordinary tire store because we're changing tires. Bell Tire.
Man, your story is so inspiring. And I think what I love is like, it's kind of like no excuses. Like you figured it out, you were hustling. I want to go to 2 videos a week. And then in some of our previous conversations, you're working full-time in a factory. You're still pumping out 2 videos a week. I also like the idea that like once you'd invested in this for a while, I know that for some, when they think about, maybe they've been listening to the podcast, they've been on the fence about Video Ranking Academy, like, and they haven't posted a video. Many people love jumping in because they have guidance from day one. But for others that maybe you've already under your belt is 1, 2, 3, 4 months of being on YouTube. Like, I love that you and your husband talked like, hey, okay, this is happening. Like we are committed to this. So now this investment into the channel is just doubling down on something like, we're already doing. So you are posting consistently for 4 months. You joined Video Ranking Academy, but you're posting 2 videos a week. Take me through the day to day. I know that also, but take me back to like maybe listening in your car and learning. Editing on your phone while also raising your kids. Like what does a day look like to actually get 2 videos out a week? And then also, are people overthinking the videos? Like how, the production value of you making these videos with your smartphone, what did that all look like?
Yeah. So at the time, I worked about 10 hours a day. That was like just a normal day. There were many days longer, but most days were just like 10. But I had about an hour commute to work. So I used to just like put on my courses and I would just listen, or I'd listen to whatever video you guys had put out that week as I kind of went in and then went out. So that would be part 1. I shot very simple videos. I still shoot pretty simple videos. There's some fanciness happening out there, and bless all of you who do that. I'm not that lady. I'm just running around with my little phone. And so for y'all, today, full time, I still just use my phone. I just use iMovie, no fanciness. I'm not doing anything crazy. At that time, so I took advantage of the car rides for sure. For those who don't work in like high hustle type factories, like I didn't have lunch break. Like if I ate lunch, that was like a good day, but like let alone like I'm going to sit down and do anything that's related to this. So once I hit work, which a lot of people who've met me over the years are like, why do you release your videos at 6:45 a.m. Friday? And I was like, because that's when I hit the parking lot. and I could confirm it was live right before I walked in the gate. And then I wouldn't look at it again until, 5 o'clock in the evening. So I did that. And then editing in the beginning, I think the first year and a half, maybe 2 years, I edited on my phone. And the reason I could do that was like my kids were little. My kids are still little, but they were really little. So I could sit on the couch with them. We'd watch, Bluey play Keepy Uppy for the 700th time. So, I got all the main points of what's happening. So at the same time, I'm on my phone, just like making all my little edits and making stuff happen. And you might think and I think that at the time, just getting stuff out there was really good because I started to learn what people were looking for, what they needed. vidIQ can point you in directions when you're super niche down like I am. It can point you so far, and then I need to hear from people what's going on. So I started sharing my stuff into certain Facebook groups, very small Facebook groups, and getting feedback from people about what they were looking for, what they were still have questions on. But at that time, I still ranked videos. My top video, even to date, actually came from April 2020 because it ranked for search. And it still gets, hundreds of views every single day. So I did that. I did 2 videos a week. And I did 2 videos a week pretty much up until last year. And then I did a lot of data analysis and then I pulled back to 1 a week. 1 public video a week, I'll clarify. I have a members video that comes out every week, but just 1 public video. But in the beginning, just getting stuff out was just 1, reminding myself how to edit. 2, just all the things there's so many details. You just have to practice. Yeah. And by just having stuff and just going through it, that's what I did at the time, just getting stuff out. And honestly, it out in a crazy way, you might think it would stress me out more. It actually took away a lot of stress from me. Because I was someone who liked to do creative stuff. And being an engineer, once I started my full-time job, the whole creative, anything artistic really stopped. So it was kind of a way I got to do some creative stuff. And 2, interestingly, at that time, some of the feedback I was getting from boss people, it was very counter to what was happening on YouTube. So I got a feedback that you can't communicate well to people. And I was like, really? There's 10,000 people who would disagree with you. They didn't know that, but I would think it in my head. So I would I would be like, you know what? It's fine. I'm not getting fired over anything. Maybe I won't get a promotion, but who cares? I'm still doing fine. Everything's fine. I have a path to get out of doing the factory stuff. So it's okay.
Lifesavers gummies. Up the wow.
Just for Men gives you your strongest, fullest, thickest looking beard yet. Mustache and beard, now with keratin. In just 5 minutes, score your best beard ever. Just for Men.
Is how I move forward with Purdue Global. Start your comeback today at purdueglobal.edu.
The Silverado Trail Boss. And the suspension to make it a not so rocky road. And Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Get out of doing the factory stuff. So it's okay.
So I love these insights. You turned your car into a YouTube university.
Yeah.
For anybody that is, commuting, it's like you have a university on wheels and you can, I'm sure a lot of individuals, they are already listening to podcasts. They're listening to this podcast right now in their car. But being intentional. And when you invested in this program, Video Ranking Academy, you're going through that, you're watching other Think Media videos, but just always learning. And I want to acknowledge your character. 10-hour days is crazy, plus the commute, and yet you're still filming. I am curious, if you needed daylight and you were working during the day, were you filming videos on days that you didn't work?
So one, I batch reported.
Okay.
That became, so I was very big into making video series. So this whole funnel idea we talked about was like the evolution of something I used to do, which was I used to come up with video series where, because then I could sit down and write multiple videos. And then because they were all related topic wise, then I would go shoot a lot of videos all at once. And then it didn't matter that, you know, the pasteurizer broke down and I didn't get home till like 9 p.m. because I could just work on editing. And I would always have, and that's one of the reasons I used to be very, like I was one of those YouTubers who always had buffer, because it was like, sometimes stuff's going really wrong at the factory and I can't be like, hey boss, you know, I'm going to go do my YouTube stuff because nobody even knew about it. So I was big into buffers, big into batching, big into series of videos that all connected to each other. So like a simple one, if you guys are in kind of in more of the gardening hobby space, is I would take a project and I would break it up across multiple videos. So one would be like planning it, one would be shopping for it, one would be implementing it, and then another one might be like coming back a few weeks later to see how the plants look. So that might be like 4 videos, but it's really like one project essentially. And I just broke it apart and came up with good titles and hooks and outros to connect it all so people would be interested. So that was one way I kind of got around all the factory stuff. Cause yeah, factory, it's minimum 10 hours, but then like I'd have weekend coverage. So I'd be on site 20 hours over the weekend, easy, maybe 24. Jeez. So you just, you know, you're working Thanksgiving or Christmas. I mean, it's just like, so you can see why I wanted to leave, because it wasn't really good having kids and it's like all that happening at the same time.
That's, I mean, I want listeners to hear this is possible. Like this is possible for you. This is figure outable. And Jacqueline is such a great example of figuring it out, of making it work. You might feel like your schedule is impossible. Jacqueline certainly sounded that way, but yet whether that's figuring out batching videos, doing video series, clustering topics, editing on the couch, keeping your edits simple while your kids are watching Bluey, learning while in the car, maximizing your time, and then having a strong vision. Because I think also having a vision that, man, I'm in a factory job that sometimes is 10 hours a day, 20 hours on the weekend. I got to work holidays. You know, I need to do that today to support my family, but I've got a vision for tomorrow for being able to write my own schedule and be my own boss and do this on my own terms. It didn't happen overnight for you, but it happened over a few years. And how does it feel now? So like when you look back and reflect over like the grit and the hustle and the patience and the investment, you've invested in your education, you've invested this time, you've got, you know, all of this under. How does it feel in terms of, and I just love your story. I mean, it's really all of the stories of, at least in our think media world, where we're not preaching get rich quick. We're definitely not preaching like, you know, some magic YouTube keyword that all of a sudden, you know, it's just, that's a unicorn story that doesn't exist. Like you just post a video and all of a sudden you're a millionaire. Like the internet is just so overhyped a lot of times, but yet this is also real. Brick by brick, discipline, diligence, focus. How does it feel now when you reflect over the journey? And what would you say personally, those things that kept you going? Like what's happening in your mindset to just get up every day and push through the hard times and the times you want to quit?
For me, well, I have a bad habit of not quitting things, no matter how bad they are. So
well, maybe a good habit, but like that's
sometimes, yeah, sometimes it's not. But so for me, it wasn't. I think one, give yourself grace. So like I typically did 2 videos a week, but when you thinking about it as I'm doing this, like I'm going to be doing this for 10, 20, 30 years, you know, if stuff was really blowing up at the factory or both my oldest son's special needs, my other son had both of them had pretty big medical needs when they're younger. Like my younger one got hospitalized multiple times. Like sometimes I just did 1 video a week and I took what would have been 2 weeks and I just laid it out for 1 week. And so one, give me your grace because it's the long game. So like what's missing 1 upload over 3 years? It's nothing, right? The other thing with you thinking about like it being long run is like you prep for a video. I know I've had this conversation myself and I have to tell myself these conversations is like, man, I thought this video was going to be so good. I prepped so well. And then like you shoot and I don't know, like there's something in your head and it doesn't come out the way you think. Well, you just make it again 6 months from now, a year from now, it's fine. I've remade the same idea videos over and over again. So like, it's okay. Like maybe you just end up having, but you've already done the research and you kind of already thought through it. And now, so that's okay. And then the other piece is I saw it as my road out. So it wasn't like a burden, I guess, as much as it was like the thing. So it's like, if I had to pull back on slowing down, it was okay, because like it might take longer to get out of the factory, but it's not the end of like the road. So just, okay, so you need to pull back a little bit and then maybe you push next week. So that's for me. I'm an overachiever, hustle kind of person. It's taken me more to learn to balance as a bigger thing. Make sure I'm spending enough time with the boys and make sure like I'm getting their stuff done. Like actually now being home with them more, like I've been used to being the person who goes, right? I get to the factory, I work all day, I'm taking calls on the way home, or I'm sitting, standing, pacing in the garden on the phone with my maintenance leader and stuff like that. So making sure I'm making sure that they're going to their different occupational therapies and stuff like that, making sure that like that's really, really, really important. And if I need to pull back even now on a video when it is my full-time income, it's like, yeah, but you've got a long-term strategy. And like I literally said to my husband the other day, I'm like, I got to miss this video because I got to work on this other thing and I got to get the boys to this, eating therapy thing. But you know what, at the end of the day, what is it right now in AdSense? It's like maybe $100 right now that I'm going to miss, but it's okay because I'm going to get this done. It's going to give me some space to work on something else that will probably bring in more revenue long-term. So it's okay. And I think that's the thing is the longer you go, it's kind of like a 401k, right? Like it's like accumulating.
Yes.
So like it's like building and building. So like you missing a video 2 years down the road and 3 years down the road when you've built it, that it's like, it's not the end of the world. Or, if you're having like, you need a break, like just go on vacation. It's okay. You just tell your community like, hey, I'm going on vacation. Maybe don't because you don't want people to know, but like, it's okay. You can just say like, you're gonna miss an upload. People are okay with it.
So you made a statement, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. I have 2 more questions for you. And
I wrote that down. Oh yeah, I do say that a lot.
Well, and I'm excited for you to explain this because as we land the plane with a couple more, I think, powerful questions, and I really want people to hear your answer to the last one. But when it comes to the YouTube journey, especially as you're growing, sometimes we're all guilty of this. We're listening to the podcast right now. We look around. And maybe there's somebody else in our same niche or somebody else in our same niche. I want to give love to everybody in the comments who say I say it wrong. I'll say it the American way and the right way. Niche, globally, it is niche. In comparison, we're hustling and then somebody pops up and they have a crazy viral video. Or we're hustling and somebody new pops up and they get 10 times or 20 times the views as us. And we kind of even analyze their content and we're like, we're trying to be self-aware, but we're like, my content's better, or why are they getting the views? You say always the bridesmaid, never the bride. And you also mentioned kind of like the tortoise and the hare. Explain that, like how you feel and what that quote means.
I mean, I've been around for a minute. Like you talk about viral for me. And then there's just people you're like, they started the channel 3 months ago. They put out a video and bam, 80,000 views. And they're exactly in my niche. Like it's different when it was like, oh, they're in gardening and it's a little different. But like they're a Florida gardening channel. And then like 80,000 views. And it's like a few months in or a year in. And I'm like, dang, what the? And I've had it happen over and over and over and over and over again. I will turn to my husband. I'm like, I'll be showing him on my phone. I'm like, what the? So I oftentimes can't watch those videos because I'll get 2 in my head. So I'll make him watch it. I'll be like, hey, tell me. And then, being a loving husband, he'll tell me all the reasons that their video isn't good. And then I'm always like, but can you watch it and tell me what they did well? Because like clearly they got views. So there's something they're doing right. Thank you for trying to, be the loving husband and protect my self-esteem because I'm all sad now. But I will say, having been around the logical side, so I'm going to take my emotional, never always the bridesmaid side and put over here, is a lot of those channels that did that 4 years ago, they're not here anymore.
There you go.
We did 3 years ago.
They're divorced. I mean, I'm trying to be like,
which is the tortoise and the hare.
And that's, anyways, back to you.
Most of them aren't here. Some are. Some will last a couple of years. I talked to one of my other YouTuber friends who's in Florida gardening too. And one of the things, and I've heard it from some of my friends from Elite, is like one of the things that from the outside. Sometimes you need people to tell you from the outside what you do well. And what I've been told I do well is I am like the tortoise. I am very consistent with my views. Like you go to my channel and I'm like batting the same number all the time. Like I'm doing base hits all day. I don't hit it out of the park, but I do base hits all day and I'm getting home runs. And that's kind of my strength is I'm very consistent. I have a lot of return viewers. I build a lot of community and loyalty. I'm very big on building that. But I don't necessarily, and there's certain things, I even had a conversation with one of my friend YouTubers last week, and she said, you could do some stuff to like agitate things more and you get more views. And I'm like, yeah, but that's so counter to me. Because what I used to do in the factory, part of my job for a few of the years was I would be put in like the most contentious departments where there's like workplace violence, possible active shooters, sexual assaults, and all sorts of. And my job was always to like calm the waters. So me agitating things is like, no, I'm not doing it. But I mean, that's the one thing from like the 20,000 foot views. I'm very consistently and methodically growing. I am the tortoise, just kind of plodding along, getting bigger each year. It's never really sexy looking, but it keeps happening. And so I just keep going.
But also look at you now. And I think these are such great, I mean, these are like ultimate values, like run your own race. I also think, like, you know, the grass is greener. We look at somebody else's channel, maybe we see their views, we see, oh man, they started later than me, and we can get into that, but you just never know what's happening behind the scenes. And then you also let things play out. You never know if that's going to be sustainable. Where are they going to be in 3 or 6 months or 12 months? And that's not, you're not praying for somebody else's downfall, but like, I've seen that over the long haul that it's like, well, you know, we'll see. Time will tell. Your race, your pace, run your own race, patience, long game. Newcomers will come on the scene, they'll come and go. But if I think about all of this, it kind of ties up the podcast as like this farmer mentality versus the hunter mentality. And sometimes as a hunter, we do need to like go kill and eat tonight because we have to feed our family. And that's why we work a day job, because we know we work, we get paid. But YouTube and building an online brand that lasts, you don't want to have a hunter mentality because you want to have a farming mentality. I'm planting seeds, I'm watering them, and then I'm being patient. And sometimes it feels like it's so slow, like I'm staring and trying to watch the grass grow. But over time, and you've proved that out. So you're getting to hear, listeners are getting to hear a narrative and a real story that you've lived in your life of what a YouTube career can look like over years of patience, of diligence, and really of like not having any viral videos, quote unquote viral. But you mentioned a term, VFM, viral for me, just like beating your previous best. And people can't see underneath the surface. They might look at your subscriber count, your view count, and they might be like, oh man, that's not, she must not have much, you know, enough money to live on. But most people only are focusing on views where you've got this deeper business. And I actually did say we were landing the plane. I do want to close the loop. You've productized what you know. And you've actually created 2 products that on the video version of the podcast, you can hold up. You started with 1, now there's 2. Explain these products and actually what it was like. These are beautiful too. And this actually, I hope, inspires vision. Digital products are awesome. It's a good way to get started, but you've gone like full circle into creating these like beautiful resources that you're now able to like offer to your audience. Explain what you've packaged, what you know, and how that ties into your channel. And this is the like almost 50% of your revenue. This is like kind of basically the core of your online business.
Yeah. And it goes back to that whole, like, what's your community? Who are you serving? Because I mean, I remember early on, not from the VRA family, but from other people would be like, you're only going to be doing Florida gardening. Like, you're not going to do other things. And like, now I'm the #1 channel for Florida gardening. Like, when you just type in Florida gardening, you will see my video first, and probably 4th and 10th and 12th and 15th, because that's all I do is I talk to Floridians. And when it came to figuring out a product, it was really solving at that time, like what wasn't really being solved for people, which was what to plant and when to plant it, which for Florida is, and that's where like knowing your community is that I recognize that Florida was a very different climate. Most people weren't born here. I could pull up census data to show all that fun stuff. And so I needed to help them. And then so one of the logical things is to have some tool to tell you what to plant and when to plant it. But I am a planner girly. like forget gardening. I just love planners in general. Like I like plan, like I have happy planners and Bujo planners. If you're in the planner world, you know, like all these little terms. So like, of course I'm going to make a planner that's pretty and that you can like write in and it'll tell you what to plant. And it's Florida specific. It's not for everybody. It is just for Florida and it solves the problems for Florida. And I get lots of good feedback. I get lots of comments unsolicited on videos. People were like, oh my God, I didn't realize how much was in there. Like, I didn't realize like how much planning space you gave me and how much detail you're going to give me for, you know, so, and then I have people now who are like, I live in Arizona. Is there an Arizona version or a Georgia version? And I'm like, I mean, I don't know of anyone who's making it. I'd tell you if I did. And so this answered what to plant and when to plant it. And the book came from a lot of people saying like, I love all your content, but like, is there a place that kind of summarizes the main ideas? Because Florida is so different gardening wise. So it's kind of like, why is Florida different from the way I should understand it? And that's where the book came in, is it really was supposed to help. And it's the beginner's guide to Florida gardening. It's really supposed to help people with like the very fundamental concepts around our environment, our wildlife, our ecosystems, and how it applies to their gardening. And it breaks it down in a very specific way. And so then they kind of pair really nicely together because this helps you understand why things are happening the way they are in Florida. But this just keeps you on track to be like, hey, you know, most gardening channels right now are just planting their first seeds for lettuce. And I'm like, forget lettuce, forget even tomatoes at this point. Like we're on to like loofahs and stuff like that. So it'll help them understand why am I saying all the crazy things I say. So yeah, and what happened was like, I did a lot of pricing and that's when the bundle came up. It was in late 2023 is when I started offering the bundles because I realized if from a pricing structure, it could increase my profit margins on the book. So like you can get the book through Amazon, but if I offer it with a planner, instead of making $2 on this book, I now make $7.50 on the book by combining it with this. And then I make the same high profit margin on the planner too. And then that allows me to August of 2023. So it was like 6 to 9 months, I think, the whole process. Maybe I started in January, but it was about 6 to 9 months, and I had a published book.
Man, that's so cool. So a couple of resources I want Think Media Podcast to know about is I'll put in the show notes. I actually have a couple of videos to maybe help you decide reasons to write a book and how to make it happen. That's a free video series on the podcast or audio series. I'll link that up in the show notes. And then also, if you want to learn a little bit more about what Jacqueline did, if you go to startyourbook.live, there's an on-demand class from Self-Publishing School about some really tactical things of how to write and publish your book in 90 days. So that URL is startyourbook.live. That'll be in the show notes. And then a couple other resources earlier on too, if you wanted to learn a little bit more about ranking videos and affiliate marketing, we have a free class on demand at Think Media at thinkmasterclass.com. That'll all be in the show notes, a few extra episodes, a few extra resources. And Jacqueline, you've added just massive value today. I want you to give a full roll call if people want to check your channel out, which I think they should. Good students study Success Leaves Clues, and you've been very successful, and your channel's very also unique and I think inspiring. I want, if you're not driving or able to actually check out Jacqueline's channel, I mean, I think you could see like videos don't have to be complex. She's still filming on her phone. You look at like kind of the overall content of her channel, like it's an inspiration to see what you've done and also how financially successful it's been, speaking to the impact and income. So where can people follow you? We'll make sure that these links are in the show notes.
I'm 100% YouTube. So you can find me, you can just go to YouTube and you can just type in Florida gardening. I am usually 99 point, actually for the last 18 months, I'll say it. Let me celebrate myself.
You're like, yeah,
I'm number one.
Gardening. I just own the whole space,
Yeah, no, I mean, like you just type in Florida gardening and you'll see lots of my videos, but the channel name is Wild Floridian.
Yeah.
So I'm here to help and support my Floridians find the joy of gardening down here in the subtropics, growing food and flowers.
Yes. Okay. Final question. What's your best advice for someone with a full-time job who wants to build a profitable YouTube channel without burning out?
Without burning out? Work based on time, not by accomplishment. So your time is limited. So you will basically say, this is the time I have to edit. And that's what I get. So I get an hour to edit. That's what I get. And it'll force you to start. Making choices, because we could always make it better. We could always make it more something, but forcing yourself to just have time blocks to just, this is what I'm going to do. I have a half hour to film, or I have 30 minutes to prep, and that's all I got, because that's what I got for the week. That way you can do your job and keep showing up for your job. You can keep showing up for your family. You still have time to sleep and relax. Sometimes you can do that. And then, but then you start getting stuff done. So I have an hour. This is my list. I'm going to get as far as I can on my list. And that is what it is. That would be my best way to say, to just get started. And then just get out of your head, get out of your own way, because that's the time killer, is overthinking things. You just gotta, I do it even to this day. I turn on a timer. I'm like, you got 90 minutes, go. That's what you got. You got to get it done.
Jacqueline, so grateful for you. And Think Media Podcast, wherever you listen or watch, means the world to us. If you like, rate, review, and share the podcast. My name is Sean Cannell, your guide to building a profitable YouTube channel, and I can't wait to connect with you in a future episode.